we doing? Can we get underway?
Yeah, we're good. Get underway.
Okay, then. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is James Kane, and I have the privilege to serve as your town moderator for the 2026 annual town meeting. Please rise and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. It's our proud tradition to take a moment to remember town meeting members' service of those who have passed in the year since our last annual meeting. Nancy Trotto passed away on February 9th, 2026, having served as a town meeting member from 1992 through 2020. Don Shannon passed away on February 13th, 2026, having served as a town meeting member from 1996 through 2024. Thank you. Good evening and welcome to our annual town meeting. To ensure good order, tellers, please raise your hands so that all town meeting members can see you. All town meeting members should have their stickers clearly displayed so that I can see them. Town meeting members are asked to sit on this side of the tellers, and only town meetings should be on this side of the tellers unless provided with specific permission from the moderator. Residents wishing to witness this evening are asked to sit in the rear seating. All department heads are asked to sit to my lower left so as to be in a convenient location to answer questions should I ask one to do so. By way of reminder, our town meeting has a long and proud tradition of civil discourse and orderly debate. Furthermore, when a town meeting member wishes to be recognized, please await my clear recognition and proceed to a microphone. If you are unable to move to a microphone, one will be provided to you. Once at the microphone, please clearly state your name and precinct, and then proceed with your question. In order to ensure that all of your colleagues have an opportunity to speak, please limit your initial question to one question with one follow-up if needed. Please hold additional questions until all others wishing to speak have done so. At this time, I'd like to recognize those to my left and right. To my right, Town Clerk Sharon Thomas, Town Council Steve Madaus. Our Finance Committee is to my further right, and I will ask its chair, Gene Budenhagen, to introduce himself and his colleagues.
Good evening. My name is Gene Budenhagen, Chair of the Finance Committee, and I'm going to let each one of my members introduce themselves, starting at my right.
Jim Flynn. Milind Kanikar.
Vikram Chabra. Dennis O'Connell.
Dave Remington.
Kelly Barner.
Victoria Pitney.
To my left, Town Manager Kevin Mizikar, and Chair of the Select Board, who I'll ask to introduce herself and her colleagues.
Joined by Vice Chair Carlos Garcia, Clerk Michelle Clark, and members Greg Richards and Anand Sharma.
With the introductions complete, let's get underway. Our town meeting operates under the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the bylaws of the town of Shrewsbury, and Town Meeting Time, 3rd edition. I've examined the warrant and constable's return of service, and both are in good order. I ask unanimous consent to dispense with the reading of the warrant and constable's return. Not seeing any objections, we'll vote that unanimously. To the town meeting warrant. As we walk through the warrant, I will call the article. The chair and vice chair of the Select Board will move the printed or substitute motion and second it. I will then ask the Finance Committee for its recommendation. Mr. Mizikar will then provide a crisp, succinct description of the article. This annual town meeting, we will use electronic voting machines. Once debate has ended on an article, I will ask the clerk, who is in the well, to open the electronic voting machines. It's at that time that you may record your vote in favor or in opposition. If you don't vote, there is no vote recorded. The voting machine will remain open for 10 seconds. The machine will stop recording votes when I announce that time for voting has expired. The machine is controlled by the clerk. As Bob Holland would say, underway is the only way. So let's get underway. Article 1.
Printed motion under Article 1.
Second.
Printed motion has been made and seconded, and before I go to the Finance Committee, I was so excited to get underway. Let's run a test question or two, just to see if people are paying attention, and certainly the clerk is. So up before you is the test question. Are you enjoying the weather today? You will have that question before you. A debate will have ensued, and then I will say, would the clerk open the voting machine? Now you will have 10 seconds to vote. Please vote. Time for voting has expired. There you go. How was that? Pretty good. So let's go to test question 2. Is this your first Shrewsbury Annual Town Meeting? The machine is now open to record your vote. Time for voting has expired. Stand by. No.
I'm glad we don't own them.
Kevin.
So as people are clicking in, it was running a total yes. So people are getting a sense of should have just show up in the Yep. It can fill in the total
20 minutes
Yes,
of loss.
and then distribute itself. We're going to do, yes. We're going to do one more test in just a second. Ready?
as soon as she puts it back up on the screen.
Okay, town meeting members, let's take this test question once again to ensure that the machine is operating as envisioned. I will ask that the vote machine open. Please go ahead and place your vote.
So I can explain that, Jim. Jim, they think that's going to explain it to them, please.
Sure. Time for voting has expired. The clerk will close the machine. Mr. Mizikar will give an explanation.
So town meeting members, as you vote on each article tonight, as you notice the change there, there won't be a running tally of the yeses and nos. There will only be a total. So town meeting members won't be influenced by other members' votes. At the end, you will see the results. A couple things to see on the screen. You'll see at the top left, it determines the quantum of vote necessary. So this is a majority vote. More than half have to vote one way or another to call it. You'll see at the top screen in the third column, it says result has passed and that the voting is closed. And then if you look at the bottom at the end, it shows the number in favor and the number of against. So that's the method that we will use throughout town meeting. So as you go forward, there won't be tallies and yeses and nos until the end and the moderator calls the vote.
Everyone square? You want to do this again? No. Okay, very good then.
There's a question to your left.
Where's the question? Yes.
Jason Molina, Precinct 10. Can you just confirm the total number of people here present?
What's that?
Can you validate the number, the total number there to make sure?
No, under this system, you vote yes, you vote no. If you don't vote, I don't know.
What's the maximum amount of people that are here?
The members of town meeting.
No, maximum number. How many people were here so that we know that 186 or 180, whatever the number is, it's not going to exceed the number of people that are here?
It's going to change from people.
For clarifying our first time run of this system, can we just do that, please?
People can check in late.
The maximum number. The maximum number
would be
of actually here present.
It will change as more people arrive late from work or what have you. What is the current number?
I'll have to go check it.
Can somebody outside tell us the number so the clerk doesn't have to run all the way?
Look, there's another person.
Michelle's going to check.
Michelle will tell us. No, because people won't, they may not vote.
Yes.
198. 198.
At this time, there are 198 town meeting members signed in. Very good. Are we ready to get underway? Very good. Gene, I had asked you for your recommendation on Article 1.
Finance Committee recommends Article 1.
Very good. Ms. Boucher, would you care to update town meeting?
Good evening, Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, and residents of Shrewsbury. I'm pleased today to offer a report on behalf of the Shrewsbury High School Building Committee. My name is Erin Boucher, and I'm the school committee representative on the building committee. As you may recall, the building committee was formed last year at the annual town meeting. The committee is composed of select board member Michelle Conlon, John Hamilton, Robert Cox, Christian Girardi, Kevin Mizikar, Joseph Sawyer, Megan Vincent, Todd Bidzidlo, and myself. It's a privilege to serve on this committee. Over the past year, the committee has met 6 times. Our work has included accepting the enrollment projection prepared by the MSBA, developing the feasibility study cost estimate that was ultimately approved and funded by the fall town meeting, entering into the feasibility study agreement with the MSBA, and most recently, we procured an owner's project manager to support our work. The owner's project manager selection process included review and ranking of 9 competitive proposals, interviewing 3 finalist firms, and ultimately selecting PMA Associates as the OPM. PMA brings a strong track record of high-performing management on MSBA projects across the Commonwealth. Additionally, PMA supported the town in the highly successful Beale Elementary School MSBA project, which was completed 10% under budget. We are now in the process of hiring an architect for the project. Once that is complete later this summer, the core design team will be assembled and we will begin identifying the detailed list of needs and priorities to overcome the overcrowding challenges. We will look at all types of solutions and alternatives that the MSBA process requires and then begin to develop preliminary solutions and designs. We welcome your attendance at our regular meetings, which are held at the Town Hall at 5 p.m. on the second Tuesday of each month. If you cannot attend in person, you can follow our work by watching the meeting recordings available through Shrewsbury Media Connection. Additionally, our committee has a page on the town's website where you will be able to review plans and materials when they are available. In closing, thank you again to Town Meeting and the residents of Shrewsbury for your support of this important project, and I thank you for your kind attention. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you. Any questions for the presenter? Not hearing or seeing any. Thank you. Mr. Pitney.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Good evening, town meeting members. I promise to be brief. My name is Patrick Pitney, and I am the chair of the Municipal Facilities Optimization Committee. Since the May 2025 ballot question and the last annual town meeting, there have been no substantive changes to the project from a planning or design standpoint. The committee has not advanced the project further and is currently awaiting direction from the Select Board regarding next steps. During this period, the committee and staff have taken time to review the prior process and better understand where challenges occurred. This review included recognizing that mistakes were made in the development and presentation of the project, particularly related to cost estimating, scope alignment, and overall project sequencing. The committee has also evaluated how those issues impacted decision-making and public understanding. As part of this effort, the committee has identified the need for a more disciplined approach moving forward, including stronger alignment between scope and budget, more reliable and validated cost estimates, and clearer checkpoints throughout the process to confirm key assumptions before advancing. These lessons learned are intended to better position the town for a more transparent and predictable process going forward. In the interim, the condition of the Department of Public Works Water and Sewer building continues to deteriorate. While the facility remains operational, ongoing aging and deficiencies may require interim or stopgap measures to maintain functionality. Delaying long-term decisions will likely increase both the cost and complexity of addressing these needs in the future. The committee remains ready to resume work and advance the project once policy direction is established. Thank you.
Comments or questions for Mr. Pitney? Not hearing or seeing any. Nope.
One out here, Chuck.
Oh, good evening. How are you? Fine, thank you.
Maureen Harrington, Precinct 1. Just a question, Mr. Pitney. In your comments about future costs as the project wasn't approved by this town, is there something in the budget that we're going to be coming across tonight about any costs that are going to be associated in the next year to improve those facilities?
No, there is not. We haven't received any direction from the Select Board. We're waiting for their direction.
Thank you.
Further comments or questions to Mr. Pitney? Not hearing or seeing any. Thank you, Patrick. We'll now call the vote on Article 1. Please open the machine and please vote. Time for voting has expired. Clerk will display the roll. This passes. Article 2.
Printed motion under Article 2.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 2.
Are there any comments or questions with reference to Article 2? Not hearing or seeing any. Let's open the vote. Please open the vote and please cast your votes. Time for voting has expired. Clerk will display the roll. Unanimous. Nice. Article 3.
I move the printed motion under Article 3.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee does not recommend Article 3.
Mr. Mizikar.
We request that town meeting defeats this. There are no prior year bills which need to be considered.
Comments or questions with reference to Article 3? Not hearing or seeing any. Let's open the vote. Time for voting has expired. The clerk will display the roll, the tally. Very good. Thank you. Article 4.
I move the substitute motion under Article 4.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends the substitute motion under Article 4.
A substitute motion was made available to town meeting members this evening. It is on blue paper, and it is displayed in front of all of you. Mr. Mizikar.
The substitute motion found on the blue handout proposes to adjust the current year operating budget. The Public Buildings Division needs additional funding to cover the estimated cost of remaining electric and natural gas bills. We're proposing to move $300,000 from various departments, as displayed, into this budget for these purposes. The budget shortfall stems from an increase in natural gas and electricity rates, as well as higher natural gas consumption during the winter months. The FY26 budget included a 12% increase for natural gas and an 8% increase for electricity. Unfortunately, those increases still do not provide enough funding for the current fiscal year.
Thank you. Comments or questions with reference to the substitute motion for Article 4? Yes, sir. Just a second, Missy.
Ed Bolter, Precinct 1. I'm just wondering, how did we go from $1 to $300,000 in the span of a week or so?
Mr. Mizikar.
So we've been monitoring these budgets throughout the course of the winter, and once we got in all the bills that we were able to up until the last week, we could provide the most accurate estimate to town meeting. So it wasn't a change within a week. I understand that the books went out with $1, but we wanted to have the most reliable figure for you, which is why we waited to update the motion for this evening.
Thank you. Ms. Hollenbach.
Melissa Hollenbach, Precinct 9. The question I have is, these expenses are tied around natural resources and type fuel costs. Has the Climate Action and Resiliency Plan, had any impact on actually bringing these costs down, or do you see in the future that could actually impact such costs?
Mr. Mizikar.
It has. We've taken on a number of green communities initiatives and other initiatives through the plan. I don't have the savings figures in front of me this evening, but we can share those, and more investments in the future will definitely save costs in these areas. It's just the year-over-year change that has challenged the budget this year.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 4, the substitute motion? I'm not hearing or seeing any, so we will move to the vote on the substitute motion, blue piece of paper. Let's open the machine and go for the vote. Time for voting has expired. The clerk will display the tally. Very good. We'll now move to Article 5.
Move the printed motion under Article 5.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 5. The vote was 5-2, 5 for, 2 against.
Could you say that again, Gene?
The Finance Committee recommended Article 5. The vote was 5 for, 5 members for, 2 members against.
Thank you very much. Article 5 is our operating budget article. The way we have traditionally done this is that we start on page 11, Article 5, and we work our way through each page. I will call the page. I will call the budget that is on that page. So let's get underway. 11 and 12, I'm sorry, Mr. Mizikar.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'll provide some brief comments to overview the budget. The recommended operating budget for municipal and school expenses totals $169,810,336. This represents a 4.9% increase over the current year. The school department budget increase is recommended at 4.5%. The municipal department budget increase is recommended 7.54%. Shared operating support, which contains expenses for both municipal and school departments, is recommended at 5.76% over the current year, and debt service is recommended at 1.27% less than the current year. These expenses are primarily supported by recurring revenues from the general tax levy, state aid, and local receipts, which include a variety of taxes and fees like motor vehicle excise tax, meals tax, and fees charged for services. By using recurring revenues to cover recurring expenses, not only is this a balanced budget for fiscal year 27, but it provides for a stable and sustainable budget in future years. We are not proposing to use any funding from the override Special Purpose Stabilization Fund. We are not proposing to add any funds to it either this year. At this time, there's a little over $10.1 million in that fund that will be used to help balance budgets in the future years without increasing taxes. Now, focusing on the municipal budget specifically, I want to highlight several changes, especially since the proposed increase exceeds 4%. The most significant change includes funding for the Emergency Medical Services, or EMS, program. You will note a new department has been established, Department 230, on page 22 of your town meeting book. This budget will provide funding for EMS services for roughly half of the fiscal year. The program will be staffed by 1 EMS coordinator and 8 firefighter paramedic positions. Once underway, the program will generate revenue by billing for services provided. However, in order to get the program started, the vast majority of the funding, $665,797, will come from free cash, and $96,840 will come from the general tax levy. In future years, this program will be able to rely upon revenue that it generates to cover all or a majority of its costs. Beyond the major change of establishing an EMS program, the municipal budget makes modest investments that target maintaining service levels or overcoming inadequate service levels. This includes funding for 2 additional police officers, a fire inspector, and a half-time position within the library. The proposed municipal budget that I'm recommending this evening is $2.2 million less than was requested by department heads. I will now focus on shared operating support. These expenses of both the school and municipal departments total just over $26 million. The largest aspect of the operating support budget is health insurance premiums, which are proposed at $19.3 million, which is a roughly 10% increase year over year. In closing, I want to reiterate that with the exception of funding for the EMS program, all recurring expenses proposed in all categories are funded through recurring revenues. Of our 3 primary revenue streams, property taxes, state aid, and local receipts, the property tax has the lowest impact, with a projected increase of only 2.9% year over year, while state aid is increasing by 3.51% and local receipts by 13.3%. This results in a balanced and sustainable budget with lower tax bills than the net increase of the overall budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mizikar. I'll draw the attention of town meeting again back to start on page 11 and 12 with the intro, then 13, Personnel Board and Select Board. Comments or questions? But 14, Town Manager and Human Resources. 15, Finance Committee, Accountant. 16, Assessors, Treasurer Collector. 17, Town Council and Management Information Systems. 18, the Town Clerk in election and registration. 19, Conservation Commission, Planning and Economic Development. Yes, Ms. Hollenbeck.
Melissa Hollenbeck, Precinct 9. This actually pertains to all the expenses. Where would any training or information or conferences go in the expenses? Because we want to make sure that our town employees and committees are up to date on best practices and what's going on in the world. So is that reflected in there in some other expense or something?
Mr. Mizikar.
So it falls within the 4, 5, 6 subtotal of every department within either contractual services or other expenses.
Thank you.
You're welcome. 19, Conservation Commission, Planning and Economic Development. 20, Planning Board, Board of Appeals. 21, Public Buildings and Police Department. 22, Fire Department, Emergency Medical Services. 23, Building Inspector, Weights and Measures. 24, Emergency Management, Forestry. 25, Other Post-Employment Benefits and Pensions. 26, Public Works Administration, Town Engineer. 27, Fleet Maintenance, Highway. 28, Street Lighting, Cemeteries. 29, Parks Maintenance and Health. 30, Council on Aging, Veterans Services. 31, Commission on Disabilities, Library. 32, Recreation. 33, Debt Principal. And 34, Debt Interest. Okay, then I will ask the chair of the school committee and the superintendent to come to the... Yes. Yes, Mr. Convery.
Hi, Pat Convery, Precinct 10, and I'm not here to make trouble. I'm just not used to a non-unanimous vote from the Finance Committee on the town budget. And I apologize for not attending your hearings. Mr. Moderator, is there a minority report available from the Finance Committee?
You can ask a question to the Finance Committee, certainly.
Thank you. Is there a minority report? Is anyone representing the minority? Because I do not recall, I've been here a while, a non-unanimous vote on the budget.
So a member of the Finance Committee would like to answer the gentleman's question?
I could not hear the question properly.
Oh,
okay,
I'm sorry.
Pat.
I noted that the vote on the Finance Committee on this article was not unanimous, and I feel that's an unusual situation. So I was wondering if there was a minority report available or a commentary, a couple of sentences from the people who voted no on the Finance Committee about what was it that was objectionable about the town budget.
I'll try to address it if I can. To start off with, that particular night we were short 2 members to start off with, voting on the budget, and we had 2 members that also objected to the overall totals. I don't know if each one would like to address it in any way. Elaine, you were one. And also, David, would you like to make a comment?
Mr. Remington?
Yes.
Hi, Dave Remington. The reason I voted against this year...
Could you speak up, David? We can't hear you.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me now? Okay. So this is an unusual year for us. We came into it last week. The Finance Committee met right at the end, and some things have changed. So, as you know, our roads weren't as good as we wanted, so we added $500,000 to repair roads. And then we added another $120,000 to change the driveway outside of the town hall from the attack on the police station. Then we decided, also in the works was, we talked about the EMS is being added. That's $760,000 right now. It's going to go on. We're going to add more money for several years before we start making money back. So we had these additional expenses that we weren't expecting per se. Then we get last week we found out we have to pay $300,000 more for our energy cost. That's not going to go down. There's no one who's going to think natural gas is going down, electricity is going to go down. Our local receipts actually reduced from what the manager told us at the beginning of the year to his expectations now for about $200,000. So we're losing about $500,000 right there, and we're spending more than $1 million that we didn't expect. On the other side, and I'll allow this, obviously the school department is going to speak. Originally it was 4.25 is what the manager wanted to give them, and now we're giving them 4.5, which is about $230,000. So the difference between that money and the other money is that goes to their base. So every year they get that money, and every year it will be like their budget, it will be added. 4.5 is about the average we give them every year. So every year that's going up and up and up. So that money, because it's added to their base, after 3 more years is about $1 million if you take the interest and principal. My concern is all these expenses are hitting us in this one fiscal year. If we want to spend money on a new EMS and improve our roads, and then we have to take care of obviously protecting the police, we also have to make cuts somewhere else. We can't have it all knowing that our local revenues are down, energy costs are up. So that's briefly why, the big reasons why I voted against it. It has nothing to do with the schools. Schools are fantastic. But if you look at the amount of money we've given them over the years, we gave them a 4.75, then a 4.75 increase, and a 5% increase, and a 4.3% increase. And given that, and the town has not had as much of an increase, I felt that, one, the money they get was going to be money that was going to add to our debt every year, while the $500,000 that we spend on the roads, we spend it and the roads are fixed, it doesn't cost us anything next year. The EMS will cost us, but eventually it will be net neutral or make a profit. And of course, the spending the money is to harden the security of the police station. So again, recurring money, not recurring money, and I just think it was too much money to spend in this year. Some of you may disagree about how we spend the money, but altogether, if you say, well, we shouldn't have spent the money on EMS, we should have sent it to the schools, it's still a no, because we're still spending too much money this year. Again, based on energy costs are going to go up. Our local revenues are going to go down. And so I hope that answered your question.
Thank you, David. Pat, all set? Mr. Pitney.
Patrick Pitney, Precinct 5. I'd just like to clarify a little bit, Dave, just to make sure that we're all on the same page on this. The $300,000 in energy costs that you're talking about, that's a transfer from this current fiscal budget year, am I correct? That we just voted on in Article 4. So that's not an increase in spending for this current fiscal year. That's in the current fiscal year, not in the next fiscal year that is in this budget. And I just wanted to make that perfectly clear. That's $300,000 that is already accounted for. It was just the transfer of funds.
Sure. Yes.
It was money that we could have spent somewhere else. We can't. You can only spend $1 once. So it's $300,000 that we had to come up with right now for this.
Patrick. No, but you should use a mic. These are all valid points, but people have to hear them.
I'll put it this way. We didn't expect to spend that $300,000 on that item. It was appropriated for other objects. The money then was recovered, right, and then spent. So no, we didn't say at the beginning of the year our energy costs are higher than we thought. We found out recently. So yes, it was money that we were able to use from 26 by pulling it back from other places, but it shows that we're going to have to spend that money again next year because our base is going to be higher. It's not going to go down.
Thank you, David. Mr. Mizikar?
Just 1 or 2 points. So the budget, as presented, as I said, is balanced. It has recurring revenues that meet the recurring demands, with the exception of EMS, and that's a timing thing. We need to get those funds. First run that we go on, we'll generate money, we'll bill insurance, all those things. The one point that I do want to clarify is I'm not projecting that revenues are going to go down. We took the opportunity because we got some additional state aid that was provided in the voted House budget. It was $527,000 more than the governor's budget as far as what Shrewsbury will receive. So we took the opportunity to lessen the use of local revenues in our revenue model. So we got a little more conservative. Revenues are coming in this year on par with last year. They're exceeding what we need for the FY27 budget as local receipts go. So I'm not projecting that revenues will go down year over year. We did take a more conservative stance because we had the opportunity. So rather than spend all $527,000 that had become available to us at this point in the budget process, we're going to basically keep $200,000 on the side, lessen the need from taxation in this overall motion, but the recurring revenues are sufficient to cover recurring expenses.
I'd like to now welcome the chair of the school committee and the superintendent to the well to present their budget.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Good evening, town meeting members. My name is Rachel Sharif-Poor, and I'm the chairperson of the Shrewsbury School Committee. Tonight, I'm joined by my colleagues John Wensky, Aaron Boucher, Rajesh Valegapudi, and Nicole Torres. We are here tonight to present the school department budget for fiscal year 2027. Before I begin tonight, I would like to take a moment to thank members of our district leadership for being here. As many of you might know, this past fall, Dr. Sawyer announced his retirement as superintendent of the Shrewsbury Public Schools at the end of this school year. In March, after a thorough search, the school committee selected Tiffany Ostrander to succeed Dr. Sawyer as the next superintendent of schools beginning on July 1. Ms. Ostrander joins us here tonight. Today has been a special day for her as she graduated from Boston College with her doctorate. So we congratulate Dr. Ostrander on this outstanding achievement, and we look forward to working with her in her new role this summer. I also would like to take a moment to recognize Dr. Jane Lizotte, who also announced her retirement effective at the end of this school year. Over her career in Shrewsbury, Dr. Lizotte has held many roles, and her impact will be felt for years to come. Dr. Lizotte's leadership has had a positive influence on our school district as assistant principal at Floral Street, principal at Spring Street, Sherwood, Patton, and through her current role as the district's assistant superintendent of community partnerships and well-being. Since assuming this position in 2019, she has helped lead several initiatives to improve the well-being of both students and staff, built partnerships with well over 100 community businesses, organizations, and individuals to promote career awareness, establish a robust job shadowing and internship program, and increase students' access to career technical education. And she has played a role in procuring over $2.2 million in alternative funding through philanthropic donations, sponsorships, and competitive grants in her areas of responsibility, which is truly remarkable. So please join me in recognizing Dr. Lizotte for her many contributions to our school district. The Shrewsbury Public Schools celebrated another strong year. The May 2025 graduating class of 421 students saw 81% matriculate to a four-year college and 12% to two-year colleges, with 7% entering the workforce, military, or taking a gap year. Graduates enrolled in 74 different institutions, such as American University, Assumption University, Boston College, Boston University, Carnegie Mellon, Dartmouth, Holy Cross, Johns Hopkins, NYU, Northeastern, Penn State, Smith, Syracuse, Tufts, UConn, UMass, and WPI, to just name a few. Since the pandemic, SHS students are attending a full range of schools within our region. While many have traveled further from home for their college experience, attending excellent Patriot League, Big Ten, ACC, and SEC universities, as well as virtually every Ivy Plus and NESCAC school. The slide behind me provides a sense of the incredible scope of college choices our SHS graduates have accessed. This is a result of SHS emphasizing finding the right fit based on a student's educational and career interests, along with the school's size, location, academic profile, and cost, combined with strong academic courses taught by excellent teachers, plus access to a wide variety of co-curricular programming. This combination makes Shrewsbury students stand out in the admissions process. We are grateful that our community has enabled our students and their families to have excellent options for their post-high school aspirations, and we know that they report having been very well prepared for success at the next level. Everyone in our preschool through high school program and all Shrewsbury residents should be very proud. Our RISE program, serving students 18 to 22 at our location at Maple and Main in the town center, continues to enhance independence, functional life skills, and community access. This year, RISE provided over 20 internships and job opportunities, including paid employment with partners like Kitchen Sink Candle and Dogtopia. New community partnerships included the YMCA and Habitat for Humanity. We're excited about Chilled by Maple and Main, a new ice cream cart supported by Shrewsbury Federal Credit Union, which will further develop student skills. Oak Middle School was designated a Department of Elementary and Secondary Education 2025 School of Recognition in January, recognizing its educational achievement and student growth. It was one of only 55 schools in the Commonwealth to receive this award. Shrewsbury High School continues to expand career and technical, CTE, and career awareness. An additional 141 students participated in career pathways this year, spanning fields like advanced manufacturing, biomedical science, and computer science. Our students also achieved great success in co-curricular activities, including athletics, performing and visual arts, regional and national academic competitions in mock trial, robotics, speech and debate, and DECA business. The school committee and district completed purposeful financial planning with the District Management Group, DMG, in the fall of 2024. DMG confirmed that our schools are effectively managed and provide a high academic return on investment. The most recent data shows Shrewsbury's cost per pupil is $19,040, 18% less than the state average of $23,159. To reach the state average, we would need to spend an estimated $24 million more. DMG analysis showed Shrewsbury Public Schools is typically in the top 15% of Massachusetts districts for MCAS results, while simultaneously spending in the bottom 15%, most recently ranking 270th out of 317 typical districts. Our students compare very favorably to peer districts in MCAS and excel in advanced placement testing, despite spending 18% less than the state average. DMG noted risks, including over-reliance on non-local funds, evolving student needs, and efficient staffing models that may become stretched too thin. DMG ultimately concluded that Shrewsbury Public Schools is an efficient and effective organization and is a model for the Commonwealth for cost effectiveness. unanimously recommends a town appropriated budget of $94,405,286, which is $4,065,300 increase, or 4.5%, over the current fiscal year. We are grateful to the voters who supported the 2021 operational override. This, combined with improved state funding and tax-based growth, allows Shrewsbury to maintain current service levels and avoid drastic staff and service cuts seen in other towns facing structural deficits. With regard to state Chapter 70 funding, prior to this current year, the very small year-to-year increases have put significant pressure to increase the proportion of local funds making up the school department budget. This has been by design, since the state's funding formula changed several years ago to take a community's income and property wealth into account. The formula has only provided minimum aid to Shrewsbury in order to increase the proportion of local funding due to our relative wealth. However, in recent years, the state increased its minimum aid quite substantially, reducing the amount of local funds needed to fund the school department's budget increase. As you can see from the slide behind me, the percentage increase of state versus local funds making up the overall increase has become much more aligned. The next slide demonstrates the dollar amount of the increase from each funding source. This shows that the totals of local dollars added to the school department budget last year, this year, and proposed for next year are actually less than the total local dollar increases in FY23 and FY24 due to the significant increase in state funding. In addition to state funding, the school department utilizes special revenue funds to relieve inflationary pressures on the town appropriated budget that is before you tonight. Inflationary pressures are significant, particularly for added district special education tuition, which is a projected 10% increase, and transportation, a 6% contract increase. We are mitigating these costs using alternative funding. Circuit breaker is one. Utilizing state circuit breaker special education funds reduces the special education tuition line increase from 10% down to 6.58%. Our budget plan also targets to end next year with a circuit breaker reserve of $2,313,223, which is 2.5% of the appropriated school department budget for FY27. Maintaining this reserve enables us to manage any spikes in costs in the volatile area of out-of-district special education tuition or other contingency. We also have the bus fee revenue. This offsets the transportation cost increase, reducing the appropriated budget increase from 6% down to 4.88%. Alternative funding is a key fiscal component, which is, there are details on page 20 of your white FY27 budget book. These funds are restricted to specific purposes and cannot offset the general education costs, but we use them to relieve pressure on the appropriated budget. One of these would be the school food service revolving funds. The state's passage of providing reimbursement for universal access to meals in 2023 significantly increased student participation and revenue. We plan to use $200,000 from these funds for necessary kitchen renovations at both Patton and Spring Street elementary schools, avoiding an ask of the municipal capital budget. We also hired a third-party expert to assess our food service program, who recommended expansion of scratch cooking and culturally relevant menus. We also have philanthropic funding. The district again expects to benefit from over $100,000 in gifts this fiscal year, including over $23,885 raised by town meeting member Emily Anderson for the RISE program. While our alternative funding is utilized, we must not rely on it, as it is not guaranteed. FY27 will be year 2 of our partnership with Leicester Public Schools to restore vocational technical high school access, which became limited due to policy changes at Aspet. This partnership fulfills the community's desire for Voc Tech options. The number of students attending Voc Tech schools, Leicester, Aspet, Norfolk, will increase from 28 to 46 students with a second cohort of 9th graders. This results in a tuition increase of over $185,000, or 28.33%, with similar increases anticipated over the next 2 years as all 4 grades start to phase in. To manage inflation and stay within the override agreement limits, the FY27 budget includes a net reduction of 7.97 full-time equivalents, FTEs, positions achieved through attrition, which you can see on page 3 of your budget book. This reduction offsets inflationary costs and accounts for shifting 3 positions previously funded by non-recurring state homeless grants, as well as 2 IT positions inadvertently excluded from the current budget. Notably, 2 of the grant-funded positions are for our elementary therapeutic learning classroom, which has kept 6 students in district, saving an estimated $185,000 annually, similar to the $288,000 annual savings realized by our RISE program. It is noteworthy that District Management Group is currently working on an analysis of our student services programming, and their initial findings show that our district has the 2nd lowest percentage among our peers for sending students with special needs out of district. They estimate that we are saving more than $3 million annually on out-of-district special education tuition compared to what we would spend on average if we sent students out of district at the same rate as our peer districts. Our proposed budget enables our schools to provide the same level of academic and co-curricular programming as the current year. However, it does not allow for any substantial strategic investments aimed at enhancing educational quality and additional support for our students. Our district leadership team suggested over $2.6 million in potential investments that would have added 33 new positions to enhance educational programming and student support. However, after much discussion, many budgeting workshops, and careful planning, only 1.2 FTE new positions, a math specialist at the middle schools, and making a 0.8 nurse at Sherwood full-time, have been included in order to remain within the funding available within the override agreement, within a net reduction of about 8 positions. A strong public school district is essential to our town, increasing property values and attracting businesses. As the town's largest employer, our staff, including nearly 400 Shrewsbury residents, contributes $24.6 million to our local economy. School budgeting is unique due to legal mandates. We are obligated to educate and provide specialized services for all of our nearly 6,000 students, regardless of rising costs. Unanticipated costs, such as a single out-of-district placement, can impact the budget by hundreds of thousands of dollars overnight. These mandated services are not discretionary. The school committee takes its fiscal responsibility seriously. We scrutinize the budget carefully, look for efficiencies wherever possible, and we understand the pressure taxpayers are under. The volatility in mandates within school finance are unlike almost any other area of town government, and our obligation to students does not lessen simply because costs have become more difficult. Of course, in order to provide the level of service and value that our residents expect, our school district's mission and strategic planning goes beyond our legal mandates in order to prepare our students with the skills and knowledge they need to succeed in a rapidly changing world. This is aligned with our town's overall vision and mission, which articulates the aspiration of Shrewsbury to be a place where all can thrive and where we provide exceptional services that enhance the quality of life and surpass the needs of those we serve. This budget provides the resources our schools need to do this for our youngest citizens while contributing to the high quality of life in our town at a cost that is the envy of our peer communities. The school committee and district leadership thank the select board, finance committee, Mr. Mizikar, town meeting members, and the Shrewsbury community for your continued commitment to public education. Thank you for your time and attention tonight. We respectfully ask for your support of the school department's fiscal FY27 budget request. Dr. Sawyer and Mr. Girardi will now join me for any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. We're on page 35, the 2027 Public Schools Budget Recommendation, in addition to the large package book that you folks all received for town meeting. Are there any comments or questions with reference to Article 5, the school department? Ms. Hollenbeck.
Lisa Hollenbeck, Precinct 9. So the schools are having renovations. Will any of these renovations be including adding sites for handling food waste diversion? Because it is coming under Mass DEP regulations, or bans, that it would be required of all schools in several years to have these separations? And then also, will our kitchens, new kitchens being remodeled or added, having dishwasher capability? Because having the reusable items are actually getting to the point where it's finally cheaper or the same cost as using throwaway items in terms of cost of buying new ones and that kind of thing. So just where we are with that kind of stuff.
Good question. The $200,000 that I was talking about in tonight's presentation was for the renovations at Patton and Spring Street. That has to do with Spring Street. I believe it's a oven. Freezer. There's a freezer that needs to be replaced, and at Patton it's in the serving line. As we have served more students, some of these they were overdue renovations that needed to be happening anyway, but now with the amount of students that we're currently serving, these needed to be done. So in terms of the first question, in terms of food waste, that's not in that $200,000 that I was talking about. These were just renovations to the actual kitchens.
Further comments or questions with reference to the school department budget? Yes, right down front.
Madhup Mishra, Precinct 4. Thank you for presenting the budget, by the way. My question is in regards to the vocational enrollment. And there's a significant jump year over year, and that's adding to like a 30% increase for that line. Just wanted to understand, is that because of more demand, or would we continue to see that year over year as well?
We are anticipating that our vocational enrollment will continue. For those that don't know, a few years ago with Assabet Valley, where we had vocational technical opportunities for students, they changed their admissions process. So it made it difficult, if not impossible, for Shrewsbury students, because we are not part of the regional school district, to be able to attend. So we went down from having a large amount of students that attended down to a very small amount of students, and they're making their way through Assabet right now. Sometimes spots do open and they're able to go to Assabet, but because of demand from the town, we looked at other opportunities for career technical. 2 years ago, or last year, we signed a memorandum of agreement with Leicester Public Schools, and that's where we started. We made an agreement with them that it would be up to 25 students per year. We haven't had yet 25 students enrolling at Leicester. We're getting close to that. But as more students are showing interest, we had a jump in the number of students that went to go visit Leicester this year to go check out their programs. Leicester's adding more programming, so as they put more programs online, we expect to see more students have interest in that. And of course, any other vocational school that's out there, students are, we can't say no to them going. So if they want to go to Norfolk Aggie, if they want to go to any other school, that they're able to. Because there is a demand for vocational programming, we are anticipating seeing this increase. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments or questions with reference to the school department budget? The gentleman who's standing up.
Thank you. Hi, Shiv Vidola, Precinct 2. I should preface, I don't have skin in the game because I'm childless, but I have some questions. As I was going door to door a few months ago, I encountered some stories like parents of a 7th grade boy who did not get into debate club, and their next choice was to spend $2,000 to send him to Acton Debate Club, but they couldn't afford it. Another story of parents of a high schooler who could not get the advanced placement classes because there was just too much crowding at the high school. So as I look at pages 64 and 65 in the school packet, I see that we are fiscally responsible in not spending as much as most of the rest of the state, which is great. But I don't understand why we're not adding more personnel to make up for the lack of opportunities for many of the high-achieving students. It seems to me, based on the stories that I've heard, that we're not able to raise the ceiling enough for some of the parents here.
It's a good question. In terms of the high school, some of that would go into the fact that we're out of space at the high school. We certainly would like to have more students participating in DECA, the mock trial teams, robotics, sports, whatever it is. There's more of a demand for AP classes. We would like to have more students do that, but we physically do not have the space anymore. We've made all the necessary changes that we can to accommodate our students, to be able to give them as much programming as we can, but we're physically out of space up at the high school. So it's not necessarily as easy. If we could add teachers, we would love to add teachers, but there's no place to put the teachers. There's no place to put the students in those classrooms. So these are things that we recognize that there's most certainly a demand for extracurricular activities, more different types of programming, but we just don't have the capacity for it right now.
Further comments or questions with reference to the article? Right on the end here, then I'll get to you right in the other side.
Hi, Louise Garone, Precinct 8. Perhaps I missed it and you already addressed it. School committee recap sheet, line A4, non-represented personnel. That is the second largest percent change in the fiscal year 27 budget. But on the back page, there's no change in the number of employees.
Okay.
Mr. Sawyer.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate you noticing that. In terms of there's a reference in my executive summary that this year, inadvertently, we left 2 positions out of this year's budget that have been continuously in the budget. Store those positions. That's one. Areas that we also have and this may not be in this exact line, but just so to be clear, there are some positions that we're funding currently through grant funding that is going to go away that we need to absorb into the budget in order to continue those positions. So there's some positions that are coming into the appropriated budget that previously were being paid for alternative revenue. But that particular area, which is not a particularly large area relative to the rest of the personnel budget, there are 2 positions that have to come back in, and that artificially raises that increase year over year.
The gentleman who previously stood.
Raju Palapati, Precinct 4. I did notice that the school lunch program is at $3.6 million, FY27. So I was wondering, what are your thoughts about providing alternate lunches? Because there is a huge...
Could you move your mic closer to your mouth, sir?
Sure.
Thank you.
There is a huge concern about the food being wasted right now because of, whatever the reason is, the kids either don't like it or they would like to bring their own lunch. So is there any recommendation from your committee to change the food program? Or I understand the state used to pay for it. I don't know if it's still the case or...
Sure. I'm going to ask Mr. Girardi to come up to help with that question.
Thank you. So in terms of the funding...
Please introduce yourself, Chris.
Thank you. Chris Girardi, Assistant Superintendent for Finance and Operations, Shrewsbury Public Schools. In terms of the budget line item, the amount of the food service line, that number does fluctuate over the course of the year. It goes up and down depending on when the funding is coming in. So something that we do look at as far as food services is we do look at the different choice options that students can have at the different levels for school. We have done some training and research for different food options for students so that they can have choice. One issue that we do have is that our participation has almost doubled since the universal free meals have come online. We used to have about 45% of students opting into school lunch prior to universal school meals, and depending on the option for the day, we're averaging somewhere between 75 and 85% participation. Something that's been a challenge for us is stocking shelves. And I think this might get to Missy's point earlier, is our cafeterias were designed for 45% participation. So with double participation, it means we're having to bring in, we're having to bring in food more frequently. We don't have storage both for dry goods and for cold goods. So we're having to bring food in more frequently, and students coming through the lines, we have to choose meal choices that can be done quickly. For anyone who went to Shrewsbury High School in years past, where you had a salad bar or a sandwich bar, and you could have things kind of made for you in front of you. We have 800 students going through a lunch line for a 25-minute lunch, so we're having to make options as to how students are getting their meals based on capacity, based on availability, and getting them through those lunch lines. I'm sorry, does that answer the question? Was there another piece to that, sir?
Thank you. I do have a rebuttal question here. Is there a possibility that the students can be provided, ways to warm up their food? Because some of the students actually that spoke to me asked this question. If they have to bring in their own lunch, you know what I mean?
Yeah, typically not. There are some options, but with the number of students that are going through a lunch, waiting in line for a microwave probably, or some other means, it's not quite the the best option for the amount of students coming through. And then to get to that other piece around things like expanding kitchens, service areas for things like dishwashers. We just don't have the size for that right now. It's something that we did explore, and we built the resources in for Beal School for potential dishwashing use. We will do the same if and when the time comes to look at the kitchen space for New Shrewsbury High School. But right now, in order to get meals served each day, we are looking for more storage. Storage is a large issue for us.
Well, thank you very much.
So the question...
One follow-up, sir.
Was about the $3.6 million. Is that coming from state, or is that a part of our budget?
Yeah, that's our annual expenditure for the year.
Got it. Thank you.
Further comments or questions with reference to the school department budget? Just to his left, if you could hand it right here.
Brian Costello, Precinct 9. On page 23, the same page I think Raj was referring to, what is town expenditures in addition to appropriated budget? It's in 23 it's like 26 million, and 25 it's 28 million, and then 26 as a TBD.
Yep, I'm going to have Mr. Girardi come explain that line item.
Mr. Girardi.
And what is the TBD for 26, do we know?
So this data is pulled from our end-of-year report. Seeing that we are currently in fiscal year 26, we won't have that information until we file that report with the state this fall. So what we have is FY25 and further back. The expenditures, the other expenditures are the line items that are what we expense from the town, which are things like our maintenance and custodial support and other operational things that the town pays for. Anything that the school department uses over the course of the year, regardless of what funding source it comes from, we report that to the state for our total expenditures for the school department.
So what, I can't imagine like 28 million is maintenance. So what goes into, where's that money come from, and where's it, like, what is that budget, I guess?
Mr. Mizikar.
So, a couple large categories of expenditures. It includes everything from like plowing, parking lots in the winter, so all costs are really included on this spreadsheet. But health insurance is one of the largest drivers for that. That's probably over $13 million of the $19 million, make up a sizable portion. Public buildings certainly does make up a significant portion. So all the utility expenses, custodial expenses, all lie within the Department of Public Works that benefit the schools. And then there are other like indirect costs that get added into that, some accounting services and things like that, just portions of people's time.
Okay, thanks.
Further comments or questions with reference to the school department? Yes, right behind.
Ed Bolter, Precinct 1. Just wondering if you believe that this budget funds shoring up the anti-bullying policies and so forth that were exposed?
Yes, our budget always supports anti-bullying policies. So, yes, this budget would provide for those services.
Further comments or questions with reference to the school department budget? I'm not hearing or seeing anyone. I'm being pointed at, though. Okay, good. Yes, right along the aisle. Ms. Harrington.
Maureen Harrington, Precinct 1. Just a question back on transportation again. So just looking at the increase in transportation, seeing it for regular education and voc transportation increase, the difference is $173,000 from this year to next year. And you mentioned that you reduced the percentage, which is noted. Thank you. I'm curious, is that contractual that's causing that $173,000 difference, or something else?
I'm going to bring Mr. Girardi up again for that one.
Mr. Girardi.
Thank you. So our contract for that line item for our in-district transportation is a 6% increase for FY27. The reason why it's listed at the 4.88% is because we're able to offset those costs with our revolving account transportation fees, which in FY27 is around $600,000.
So I guess I'm still not understanding the answer to the question. There's a difference of $173,000. Is that a contractual increase that's causing that difference?
Yeah, it's part of the 6% increase.
It's part of the 6% increase, which is contractual.
That's correct.
Okay. Follow-up?
Yes.
Okay. So that said, where are we in the contract with the transportation? Are we in a first year, second year of a 3-year contract? I'm curious where we are.
Yeah, FY27 will be year 4 of a 5-year contract.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Further comments or questions with reference to the school department budget? Yes, way up in the back.
Hi, Catherine Rajwani, Precinct 7. I believe you mentioned the Finance Committee and the vote. The Select Board, did you mention how the Select Board voted on the budget?
We could ask them.
The Select Board voted 3 in favor, recommending the budget. There was 1 not recommending the budget, and there was 1 abstention.
Okay, follow-up, please.
Yes.
I guess likewise, could we hear a minority report from the Select Board?
If a member wishes to give one.
I'm sure he does, Mr. Richards.
Wow. Yeah, sure. I'll speak to that. Greg Richards. Essentially, my comments were around a couple things. Number one was throughout the whole process, there was a lot of debate, discussion between the Select Board and the school committee regarding budget and the increases. And as was mentioned before, we started at a 4.25%. The school committee started at 4.75%. And along the way, my personal experience was I tried to spend a lot of time discussing the budget, asking a lot of questions of the superintendent and the school department, and I personally wasn't given acceptable answers back, complete answers back. I was denied additional time to answer additional questions. And for me, if somebody's unwilling to take the time to sit with you and go through things in more detail, which I think, a 2-hour window isn't unreasonable ask, I'm not going to support that budget. The other big concern I have, kind of in parallel to Mr. Remington, is if you look at what we're spending long term, just because we're getting additional funds, maybe we're getting additional funding from the state, doesn't mean we have to spend it. I think we have to look at feathering our nest. If you're looking around at other towns who are going through overrides, there is no guarantee. As a matter of fact, it's probably a greater than 50% chance that an override would fail. And the longer we can put that off, in my mind, the better. So I'm really concerned because if we're talking about having to make cuts now for a 0.5%, if you can only imagine what the cuts were going to have to be if an override should fail in the future, it'd be extremely detrimental to our community, and I'm trying to really prevent that as long as possible. So I think we have to look at increases year over year. We have to be very diligent when we're looking at what we want to actually increase, and I think there's some additional areas collectively we can probably reduce. I don't think it's an unreasonable ask, and for that reason, I just did not support the budget that was presented this year.
Thank you.
Can I make a comment, Mr. Moderator?
I couldn't even see who's speaking. I'm sorry.
Me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, go right ahead. I'm wondering where the voice is coming from. I apologize. Yes, go right ahead. Chair of the school committee.
I just want to make one little correction to what Mr. Richards said. In terms of the time that Mr. Richards asked for, he didn't actually ask for any of the school committee for time discussing the budget. He did ask Mr. Girardi and Dr. Sawyer, who did sit down and talk with him, for a lengthy amount of time. He did reach back out for more information. However, with the information that he was asking for, the school department felt that it was information that the finance committee and the full select board and the school committee should all be privy to. So he did not have a second follow-up meeting, but you were given information when you asked for it, just to clarify that.
Further comments or questions with reference to this article? Mr. Sigelnik.
John Sigelnik, Precinct 2. Going back through the budgets in regards to people not voting in favor of it, I think if we go back to the override that we had in 2021, other than the first year when the school kind of got a lump sum and their budget went up 11%, they basically stuck to the 4.5% since then. In that time frame, the town's operational budget has increased about 8% per year for the 5 years. So in terms of where we're spending the money, I mean, my concern is we're spending more on the operational side than we are on the school side. The school seems to have stuck to their 4.5%. But in terms of us still having money in the stabilization override account, the town budget is going up much faster. In a second, that was kind of an observation. The one question I have is we got $10 million in the stabilization override account. The interest generated by that account, is that interest being put into the account, or are we putting it into the town budget annually as opposed to accumulating more money in the stabilization account for future?
Mr. Mizikar.
It's required by state law that it stays with the stabilization account, so it stays there. It doesn't, it has to stay with it under state law. And the 8% on the town budget would have to include shared operating expenses. The municipal budgets are not increasing 8% per year.
Mr. Campanello.
Paul Campanello, Precinct 6. I believe Ms. Flynn or Mrs. Flynn said it was 3-1 and 1. We got the pro and the nay. I'd like to know who abstained and why.
Would the individual who abstained like to speak?
Hello. Yeah, I abstained from that because Mr. Remington came in the last select board meeting and he raised the issue about the $260 K amount is not appropriate in the budget, and I didn't get the answer of that, so I abstained from that. So that's the reason.
Further comments or questions with reference to the school department budget? John, before we go back for another one, I just want to make sure anyone's had a chance. I'm getting a point this way. Mr. Budenhagen.
I'd like to add a couple comments. We've worked extremely hard this year on this budget to get everybody to come together to balance out this overall, and I think we've done a great job, even though a couple people were a little unhappy with what was going on. But I think overall the school committee is happy, the town side is happy, and I think we should progress the way it is right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Budenhagen. Yes, right in the middle.
Too much paper. Precinct 7, Bridget Hilton. I think 4.5 is extremely reasonable. My household budget has gone up more than 4.5 in the last year, and I'm not educating thousands of children.
Yep,
so for people who would like to see this budget shot down, you of course are entitled to that vote. However, tell me what you want to cut from our schools right now. Do we want less art classes, less band, less debate? What is it that you would like to see us get rid of? So if you're going to say no on the budget, please explain to us, what is it that we should get rid of in our schools? What is it that our kids don't deserve, that we need to take away from them, given the fact that the whole world is more expensive than it was a year ago, and we have to keep pace with that? So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments or questions with reference to the school department budget? Right down front.
Dave Lennon, Precinct 8. I got kids in, I got twins in third grade, and they really enjoy the food. And I'm overwhelmed by the confidence of everyone in Patton Elementary School, from the principal to the custodian. I urge fellow town meeting members to vote yes on this Article 5.
Further comments or questions with reference to the school department budget? Mr. Cray.
Hi, good evening. I'm Robert Cray from Precinct 2. And likewise, I'm very impressed with all the questions tonight. This is the best town meeting I've ever been to based on the quality of the questions. But I really wanted to see if I'm correct in what Mr. Remington told us earlier, which is that money that was shifted into the school budget that was not voted on would then compound based on baseline budgeting as the basis for future years. And that amount of money then would never be voted on by town meeting. So my point is, if I am correct about that, Mr. Remington, I think that this budget should go back for more work, but not based on the amount of money, but based on the principle that that's backdoor budgeting, and it's not honest to have town meeting members being treated in a way that we're not approving or up or down vote on the actual money that we budgeted last year.
Mr. Mizikar.
So that is not the case. Every dollar that's available from local dollars and state aid is before you this evening. The additional funding that was added to the budget was because there's additional funding coming from the state. Those dollars and for this year's budget will be voted on this evening, hopefully, and each year thereafter, the budget will be reconsidered anew, just like you're considering this budget versus what was considered last year. So there's no other process. Town meeting is the sole appropriating authority for this community.
Mr. McRae, a follow-up?
Yeah, I do have a follow-up. Could we ask Mr. Remington to clarify, please?
Well, you just heard from the manager the way things are budgeted. David, is there something that you said that was different than that?
I don't believe so. So what we're doing is that extra money adds to the base. And whoever base it is, be it the school, the police, DPW, every year they get an increase. So those increases is you take the money, take the principal, take the interest every year. So if it's added to a base, yes, it will continue to get bigger every year. But that's the same for everyone's budget. So anyone who gets an increase, the money they got gets increased, and then it gets increased again. Does that clarify?
Thank you. There was a hand up back. Yes.
Hi, Caroline Maycomber, Precinct 9.
in looking in the numbers in the booklet, it looks like we've had a decrease of about, I think it was 7 full-time employees, and the number of students enrolled has also gone down, like pretty significantly. But our budget is going up, and so I'm just trying to figure out why it's going up if things are going down, and could we go back to maybe having kids or families that are interested in paying for lunch pay for lunch, and then that might impact the amount of kids. I know we talked about the storage for dry and freezer space, but to go from 40 to 80%, I know, at least in my house, I mean, the only reason they buy is because it's free. But if I had to get charged for it, I mean, we'd probably still buy a couple days a week, but maybe not every day. So I feel like that number would go down if we brought back that option for families to choose to pay for their lunch. And maybe that would make up that $4 million increase or whatever it was from last year to this year.
A couple of things, and I don't know if Mr. Girardi wants to join me, but in terms of costs going up versus our enrollment going down, a lot of those costs are not necessarily related to the students. I talked about the special education costs going up, the transportation. There are other costs that has nothing to do necessarily with like books and the students in the classrooms. In terms of the food, so that's a state law. We have universal free lunch, so we can't legally charge lunch. Each student in the district is entitled to a free breakfast and a free lunch if they so choose. There are times when if a student goes up and they get a burrito bowl and they're still hungry, they can go up and they can, with money, purchase an additional meal. We have a la carte items as well that they can get, bags of chips, juice, whatever it may be. But in terms of the lunch itself, their first meal, we can't charge for that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, right along the walkway.
Tony Bonaventura, Precinct 4. So I might have missed it in the packet, but what is the total school enrollment for fiscal years 25, 26, 27, like percentage-wise, up or down? Was that in here somewhere? Or?
Sure. I think we did have it.
I see this year's, and then I saw skip years, but I might have missed it. Do we have like a percentage?
This year's, we have on page 43, you have enrollment in class size. Is that answering?
Total school enrollment, yes.
Yes.
Total number of students, maybe even like a percentage from last year to this year.
Sure.
How much did it go down?
Preschool through grade 12 enrollment rose by 66%, well, from 1995 to its high in 2020, with we had an increase during that time of 2,500 students. I don't have the increase. Do we have the increase year over year of students?
Yeah, I just didn't see the last couple of years. Like it skipped that. It seemed like it skipped that. Oh. Total?
Yeah, 43.
They say it's in there.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Page 43.
Further comments or questions with reference to the school department budget? Mr. Garabedian.
Charles Garabedian, Precinct 2. To better understand how we're spending and where we're spending the money with salaries, if you look at that booklet, there is a copy of the teacher's salary schedule that is rather meaningless because it does not show the actual money that's being spent for every teacher. What I would like to see for clarity is to take the set of actual teacher expenditures, teacher by teacher, and from that set determine the following numbers. Number one, their arithmetic mean. Number two, the median. Number three, the maximum salary that was actually spent. Number four, the minimum salary that was actually spent. The standard deviation, and if possible, the quartiles. If you look at those numbers, you're going to get a much better feeling as to what the teacher salaries actually are. I would also suggest that you do the same with the salaries for the administrators. Those items that I just went over statistically will give you a much better picture of where our money is going in terms of salaries. And if somebody asks me, why are you picking on salaries? Well, the salaries make up the greatest percentage of our expenditures to run the schools. Thank you.
Further comments or questions with reference to the school department? Yes.
Sanam Zaire, Precinct 7. I think that's something that's often missing from some of these presentations is the actual perspective of someone who works in a school. So I just wanted to give a little bit of feedback on that to help make this decision. I do work in a school. I don't work in Shrewsbury. But looking at the day-to-day life of any teacher, you're talking about teachers that are teaching in increasing class sizes with less support. You have English language learners, kids on IEPs, all in a classroom, and you have to manage all of them. If a teacher's out, sometimes you're pulling a paraprofessional from one classroom to come in, and that means those kids are not getting their services that day. You have multiple kids that don't have IEPs that need IEPs, and you're just kind of struggling to get by in the day. You have kids that are coming in, some are homeless, some are going to be homeless, some have not eaten breakfast that day. You're managing all of these things all at the same time. When we're looking at a school budget and they're asking us for a 4.5% increase, that's not actually what they need to provide all the kids what they need to get through the day. That's what they're offering to us, so that we're content with a modest increase in the education spending. Realistically, if you wanted to properly fund the schools, you need to jump up significantly. And that's because, you know, we're just doing these modest increases to balance anything out. But I would ask anybody who has not been in a school during a school day to just go and see the changing landscape of the public education system, because it's a lot. And schools are not just schools anymore. They're becoming community centers. They're becoming health centers. They're evolving to meet significant needs of the population. So this 4.5% is not even enough. And it's very modest if you really look at the day-to-day life of anyone who works in a school.
Further comments or questions with reference to the school department budget? Not hearing or seeing anyone. Wait a second on the aisle. Yes, sir.
Oh, great. Mr. Moderator, Fran Manella, Precinct 3, move the question. Mr.
Fran, I'm going to ask you just one second. We've got another section to go over after the school department budget. So if you could just put that in your pocket and save it, I'd appreciate that. Is there another comment or question regarding the school department budget? I'm not hearing or seeing anyone. Mr. Superintendent has a question.
Not a question, but a comment. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Appreciate everyone's questions this evening. Appreciate people going through all the materials. I just wanted to take this opportunity, this being my 17th and final town meeting budget presentation for the school department, to say thank you to all of you who have served for many years, or if you're serving newly as a town meeting member. As I mentioned in my executive summary, I am deeply grateful that Shrewsbury's town government over the years and continues to be a place where decorum and respect is the order of the day. I think all of us see too many examples in other communities, whether it's across this Commonwealth or across the nation, that do not live up to that expectation. And that's something that I sincerely hope we'll continue to see in our community going forward. I wanted to mention that not only am I grateful for 29 years of having the privilege of working in the school district and contributing it to in some ways, hopefully, but at the same time, as a resident and proud father of 3 Shrewsbury High School graduates, I also want to say thank you to the community for supporting their education. I did a little bit of math earlier today, and for me, the total, looking at what the rough average per pupil expenditure was going back to fiscal year 2008 when my oldest daughter began kindergarten, and then looking at all three of my daughters matriculating through all the way through their high school graduation, the grand total that this community spent using that average number on their education is just over $534,000. If I divide that by the 29 years I've lived in town, that's an average of about $18,400 a year, and I can tell you I do not pay $18,400 a year in tax, property tax or motor vehicle excise tax or other local receipts. And if I divide it over just the 18 years they were in school, that's close to $30,000 per year. Of course, public education is a public good, just as public safety is, or the public library, or the senior center. And we collectively, as a community, fund that public good. It is not something that is charged to individual users. And just as the citizens who were my predecessors in Shrewsbury funded my children's education, I look forward to, in future years in the community, funding the children who are coming next. And I intend and hope the rest of the community will join me in funding that to a level that those students next year and 5 years from now and 10 years from now enjoy at least the same quality of education that my children received. That to me is what makes public education special. It's what makes community special, and I do believe, and I'm very proud, that the quality of what the many support staff and educators and leaders in our schools provide year after year in Shrewsbury Public Schools provides a tremendous benefit and value to this community. Whether you want to measure that financially in terms of property value or how it is that we pay relatively less tax compared to our peers and spend less compared to our peers in terms of education, yet get incredibly solid and positive results, or whether that's just the quality of life that we all enjoy thanks to the fact that public education is strong and I hope remains strong in Shrewsbury. But again, I appreciate your support, your questions, and all of your respectful interaction over the years, and for that I'm very grateful, and I will certainly miss that part of the role. So thank you.
Further comments or questions with reference to the school department budget? Not hearing or seeing anyone, we will move to the last section of Article 5, 159 on page 37, the operating support. Comments or questions regarding operating support? Mr. Sogilnik.
John Sogilnik, Precinct 2. I'd just like to go back to my initial comments when I brought up the stabilization override fund that's got $10 million in it. And I guess if I got an answer, I missed it. But the $10 million that is in an account is drawing interest. The question I have is interest being added to the stabilization account, or is that interest using to be funding day-to-day operations?
Mr. Mizikar.
It's staying with the stabilization account.
Comments or questions with reference to 159, operating support? Mr. Ritigliano. It's coming down to you.
Chris Ritigliano, Precinct 9. I believe the police department and fire department is moving to a new CAD system, Foursquare, and I was just wondering if that new software is itemized in the operating support budget.
Mr. Mizikar.
It's funded within the police department's budget, Central Square.
Comments or questions with reference to 159, section 37 of the article? Okay, not hearing or seeing any. Now we'll go back to take a vote on Article 5. A vote on Article 5, the operating budget. Not yes, we have a question.
Nadine Garnett, Precinct 2. I just have a question. What happens if we do not pass this budget? What happens going forward? Does the budget go back and gets reworked and it comes back to us again?
Mr. Mizikar.
Yes, it would have to get reworked and come back. We're obligated to have a budget in place prior to July 1st.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 5? Yes.
Mr. Dupre, Precinct 1. Way back on page 22, I'm just curious if you could refresh my memory regarding the emergency medical services. What is the projection of when it is up and running? I understand the department has started, but when it would be up and running and we would eventually see receipts and the projection on out to at least make basically the seed money for this department back? Thank you.
For the benefit of town meeting members, we're on page 22, 230, Emergency Medical Services. Mr. Mizikar.
Our goal is to have the program up and operating in February or March of the coming year. We will hire an EMS coordinator for July 1st. We will go through the process to hire 8 firefighter paramedics. We look to bring them on board 45 to 60 days prior to start operations, get them familiar with everything. Some of them may need to go to firefighter training or something like that. But we'll have probably 2 or 3 solid months of operations in before we get to next year's annual town meeting.
Further comments or questions on Article 5? I'm not here. Yes, Krista, follow up? Hold on. That's fine.
And part of my, Krista Dupre, Precinct 1, I was also looking for the projection of when the receipts would catch up basically for the seed money, if that's projected out yet. Thank you.
Mr. Mizikar.
I don't have a break-even date for you right now. It'll vary over the years. We have to start as a basic life support service, which is a lower tier ambulance, and then we look to progress to advanced life support. And we'll be operating concurrent with our current provider, who's UMass Emergency Medical, Worcester Emergency Medical Services. So it will take us probably 3 years to be fully operational on our own with the ALS service if Worcester EMS doesn't continue their agreement with us. So I don't have a specific date where we'll cross the break-even line.
Ms. Hollenbeck.
Lisa Hollenbeck, Precinct 9. A follow-up to Kristen's question is I can tell you from personal experience, having a mother-in-law and one of the assisted livings in the dementia care, the number of times my mother-in-law had to use these services, and it is huge. The falling, all these other issues. And I think the longer we delay passing this and allowing this to happen, it's going to cost more money. The costs are going to go up phenomenally. It's just mind-blowing, to be honest. It's all I can say to it. And so having this program being able to fund itself and also self-perpetuate, because I know from, if we have anyone here from the fire department, is they can tell you how many of these falls and these calls that they're getting as we're adding in more over 55, more assisted living, as we're all in here aging. These are numbers that are going to be going up. So this is, I think, a very wise move for the town to do, and I think we should definitely vote this up.
Thank you. Mr. Flaherty.
Kevin Flaherty, Precinct 5. I just have another question about this program. Full support of it. I think it's a great idea. As a person locally dealing with my company deals with medical insurance all the time. Have we looked at the process of how we will bill for this, and what's it going to take for us from an employee standpoint? What is that going to add to this to be able to get back that money? Because my business, I pay someone all day long just to bill, and I'm a small business, much smaller than the town. So can you just kind of talk about how you perceive that to happen, not only 27, but from moving forward?
Mr. Mizikar.
So we plan to contract for that service. There's a number of providers that will be available. We'll go through a competitive bidding process. Those bids are normally judged upon the percentage that those companies will receive for the amount of funding that we collect. So once we collect funding, then we would pay them a small percentage back. But it will be an external provider, outsourced, and we've budgeted $70,000 for that.
Thank you.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 5? I'm not seeing or hearing anyone or seeing other hands, so why don't we proceed to starting the vote on Article 5? Hold on. Yes, sir.
Atif Rao, Precinct 10. So I have a question regarding page 27.
Could you speak up, sir?
Okay, thank you. So this is Atif Rao from Precinct 10. I have a question on page 27. So for fleet maintenance, this year we're projecting $175,000.
Just a second, sir. You're on page 27?
Yep.
And what section on 27?
It's a 415 fleet maintenance, and that
fleet maintenance. Very good.
Supplies and materials. We are projecting $175,000 more year over year. So the question is, so is that all vehicles need to be maintained? But I'm not clear about it, because usually around 34,000. This year is about 209,000.
Mr. Mizikar.
So that represents a change in how we budget, not necessarily an increase in total expenditures. So with the Consolidated Department of Public Works, we've taken all automotive costs and located them here within fleet maintenance. So they used to be separately budgeted within highway, within the parks division. They were all separately budgeted, and they're all consolidated within fleet maintenance. This allows for more efficient internal processes, allows the fleet maintenance division manager to repair and maintain all those vehicles without going back to the other division manager to sign off on every bill.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. Further comments or questions with reference to Article 5? I'm not seeing or hearing anyone, so now point somebody out to me. Not seeing or anyone. Okay, let's roll to the vote on Article 5. Open the machine. Please close the machine. This matter passes. Before moving to the next, what's that? Yeah. I can't see you. Oh. Yes. Okay, let's run a test over there. During this brief intermission, I will note that 3 folks have retired from the Highway Department, and their total service is almost 100 years. Kevin Esposito served the town for 13 years in the Parks Department, spending the past 8 years as the Parks and Cemetery Division Manager. During his time with the town, Kevin oversaw significant upgrades to Dean Park and the expansion of our town-wide trail system. Walter Castagna served for the town for 3 decades in the engineering department, overseeing the vast majority of construction projects across town. John Knipe is retiring as sealer of weights and measures after 54 years of service to our town. Is he here tonight? Where's John? Is he here? John, stand up. 46 years as the highway superintendent. Next, we do puppets. How are we coming?
Need to leave the vote open a little longer.
Okay. We'll leave the vote open a little longer. Okay, so this article passed. Let's move on. Article 6.
I move the printed motion under Article 6.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 6.
Mr. Mizikar.
This article allows us to receive $274,380 from Selco Cable to offset total expenditures and limit the amount of funding required from general taxation.
Comments or questions with reference to Article 6? Not hearing or seeing anyone? Well, where are these people? Yes.
Caroline Maycumber, Precinct 9. Just wondering, what would the taxes be? So it says division in lieu of taxes. What would the taxes be?
Mr. Mizikar?
So a penny on the tax rate raises about $80,000. So it would be a little less than 3 cents higher.
So we're accepting $274,380 in lieu of $274,380.04. Am I understanding you right, or?
No. So it'd be the tax rate this year is $11.50. Without these funds, it would have to be $11.54. So everyone would pay more, the equivalent of 4 decimal places out.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 6? Not hearing or seeing anyone, let's move to the vote. The machine is now open. Time for voting has expired. And the vote is 179 to 3. It passes. Article 7.
I move the printed motion under Article 7.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 7.
Mr. Mizikar.
Same concept as Article 6, except for it's $502,385 from the electric department within Selco.
Comments or questions with reference to Article 7? Is the gentleman all set over there? Okay. Further comments or questions with reference to Article 7? Not seeing anyone. We will now open the machine for a vote. Time for voting has expired. The article passes. Article 8.
Move the printed motion under Article 8.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 8.
Mr. Mizikar.
The same concept for this, except for we're using free cash, which is a reserve asset of the community, the amount of $759,325 to offset the tax rate.
Comments or questions with reference to Article 8? Article 8, not hearing or seeing anyone. The voting machine will now open. Time for voting has expired. Article 8 passes. Article 9.
Move the printed motion under Article 9.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 9.
Mr. Mizikar.
This is the annual operating budget for curbside solid waste and recycling program, which is proposed at $3,374,345. The tax levy will cover approximately 54.2% of the funds needed, and the rest will be raised through program services and fees. This budget is $38,000 less than the current year.
Comments or questions with reference to Article 9? Article 9, not hearing or seeing anybody. We'll now move to the vote. Open the machine, please. Let's start the voting. Time for voting has expired. Yes? Okay. Gentleman on the side needs a fresh clicker.
Where's the guy at?
Where'd the guy go?
He's went to the restroom.
Stand by.
He's coming.
Down here, please, the gentleman in the, what would we describe that as, peach? Pink shirt? All set? Display the tally, please. Motion passes. Article 10.
I move the printed motion under Article 10.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 10.
Mr. Mizikar.
This is the operating budget for the sewer system and proposed at $8,013,210, which is $92,830 greater than the current year. These expenses are all funded through sewer rate revenues.
Comments or questions with reference to Article 10, please. Article 10. Yes.
Caroline Maycomber, Precinct 9. I'm just wondering, how much is in the sewer surplus account currently? And I apologize if I missed it in the book.
Mr. Mizikar.
So as of July 1st, the unappropriated balance was $9.4 million. And Alex, is that the most current number that we have? Yeah, so we have to have sufficient funds on hand. So on July 1st, that's how much it was, plus all the revenue that we've collected thus far this year. Sorry, I don't have a specific figure for you as of today.
No, that's okay. Can I ask a follow-up?
Yes.
Within that sewer surplus account, is it just kind of like sitting in a money market? Does that money get invested somehow, or?
No, it's invested in very low risk tolerant.
Like in treasuries?
Yeah, treasuries, stuff like that, because we can't risk any loss of it.
Okay, thank you.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 10? Not hearing or seeing anyone, I'll ask that the vote be opened on Article 10. Time for voting has expired. The clerk will display the tally. Okay. That carries. Article 11. Yes. Very good. The gentleman is responding. We won't take the vote on 10 or 11 rather, but we'll get underway. Article 11.
I move the printed motion under Article 11.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 11.
Mr. Mizikar.
It's the annual operating budget for our drinking water system, proposed at $3,882,133, or $104,101 greater than the current year, and all these expenses are funded through water rate revenues.
Questions on Article 11? Ed, are you set? Any questions on Article 11? Not hearing or seeing any. What do you think? He's all set? Okay. Not seeing or hearing any questions on Article 11, we will move to a vote. Please open the machine. Go ahead and vote. Time for voting has expired. The clerk will display the tally. This matter passes. Article 12.
I move the printed motion under Article 12.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 12.
Mr. Mizikar.
This is the Stormwater Enterprise Operating Budget. It's proposed at $1,173,977. It's $92,436 greater than the current year.
Comments or questions with reference to Article 12? On Article 12, not hearing or seeing anyone, we will then move to a vote. Please open the voting machine. Time for voting has expired for Article 12. The clerk will display the tally. That item passes. Article 13.
I move the printed motion under Article 13.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 13.
Mr. Mizikar.
This article establishes the operating budget for cable television, public education, and government access service. These funds are received as a franchise fee through Selco. In addition, this year we're proposing the use of $60,000 in free cash to fund the replacement of the video system that records meetings in the Selectmen's Room. SMC is our contracted service provider for these services.
Comments or questions with reference to Article 13? Not hearing or seeing anyone. We will now move to a vote on Article 13. Please open the voting machine. Time for voting has expired. Clerk will display the tally. This motion passes. Article 14.
I move the printed motion under Article...
Hold on, clicker problem. Stand by. All right, Donna. We'll proceed, but we won't take the vote until you're set. That was Article 14.
I move the printed motion under Article 14.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 14.
Mr. Mizikar.
This article proposes to utilize $6,000 in free cash to satisfy the town's obligations under General Laws, Chapter 41, Section 100B, to fund out-of-pocket medical expenses of retired and disabled police and firefighters.
Comments or questions with reference to Article 14? How are we doing? All set? Good. I'm not hearing any comments or questions with reference to Article 14, so we'll move to the vote. Please open the machine. Time for voting has expired. The clerk will display the tally. Article 14 passes. Article 15.
I move the printed motion under Article 15.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Committee recommends Article 15.
Mr. Mizikar.
This article proposes to use $30,000 from free cash to fund the insurance trust fund. The trust fund pays for deductible obligations and other claims costs that the town pays that falls outside of deductible. There are currently no pending claims, but we only have $5,238.76 remaining in this fund.
Comments or questions with reference to Article 15? Comments, questions, Article 15. Yes.
Caroline Maycomber, Precinct 9. Does the insurance trust fund, is that it covers the disabled police and firefighters, or is this an insurance trust fund for all town employees? Who is it for?
So it's for active employees, and we use it to cover medical expense deductibles, primarily within police and fire.
Okay, thank you.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 15? Not hearing or seeing anyone, we will move to... Donna, you all set to vote? We will now move to the vote and open the voting machine. Time for voting has expired. The clerk will display the tally. This passes. Article 16.
I move the printed motion under Article 16.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 16.
Mr. Mizikar.
The article proposes to deposit $600,000 in the town's general stabilization fund. The general stabilization fund is the town's rainy day fund to be used to overcome any significant unforeseen financial challenges if they arrive in the future. The Select Board hasn't established a general stabilization policy that provides at least 5% of the total operating budget for municipal and school expenses is held in the general stabilization account. The revised balance, if this is appropriated, would be $9,253,483, which is 5.4% of the municipal and school operating budget that passed through Article 5.
Comments or questions with reference to Article 16? Article 16? Yes.
Sorry, guys. Caroline Maycomber, Precinct 9. I'm wondering why this is addressed separately here in Article 16 if it has to do with the school operating budget. Isn't it something we just voted on in Article 5? I just don't understand if I'm just missing something with the way it's being put in the booklet, but...
Mr. Mizikar.
So this is the general stabilization fund, and it would only be used in the future if for some reason we didn't have the ability to use the operating budget to cover an unforeseen expense. So it's really a reserve asset that we hope we never draw upon, but it could be used for municipal shared operating expenses or school expenses. So it's tied to the operating budget is just a percentage. So the policy level is at least 5%. And if this was added, if the $600,000 was added this evening, we'd be at 5.4%. So this is like a deep reserve if something terrible happened that we needed to come back to town meeting, we would come to you and say we need to use a general stabilization fund to cover this unforeseen expense. If that was considered, it would have to be voted through a supermajority of this body.
And follow up.
Certainly.
How often have we had to go to that emergency funding, or if we have had to use it, like what have we had to use it for?
We haven't used it in the 9 years since I've been here.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Certainly. Further comments or questions with reference to Article 16? Not hearing or seeing anyone, we will now move to a vote. I will ask that the voting machine be opened. Time for voting has expired, and the clerk will display the tally. This passes. Article 17.
I move the printed motion under Article 17.
Second. Finance Committee.
Article 17 is recommended by the Finance Committee.
Mr. Mizikar.
State law requires us to have town meeting consider the total maximum expenditure limits for revolving funds. Revolving funds receive revenue for a particular purpose, and those funds can be expended within the same area. We have two of those revolving accounts, the Council on Aging Transportation Fund and the Donahue Rowing Center. The proposed amounts for the Transportation Fund is $75,000 for the year, and the Donahue Rowing Center is $250,000 for the year.
Comments or questions with reference to Article 17? Not hearing or seeing anyone, I will now ask that we move to a vote and that we open the voting machine. Time for voting has expired. The clerk will display the tally. This passes. Article 18.
I move the printed motion under Article 18.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 18.
Mr. Mizikar.
Article 18 will allow the town to receive funding from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for the purpose of improving and maintaining roadways through Chapter 90. The plan proposed this year, the estimated amount that we anticipate receiving is $1.9 million, which would allow us, along with additional funding augmented in the capital improvement program, to cover 25,344 feet of roadway, or 4.8 miles.
Comments or questions with reference to Article 18? Are we all set? If there aren't any other comments or questions regarding Article 18, I will now ask that the voting machine be opened and that we vote. Article 18. Time for voting has expired. The clerk will display the tally. All right, this passes. Article 19.
I move the printed motion under Article 19.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 19.
Mr. Mizikar.
This article will transfer $18,000 from the sale of cemetery lots account to cover and offset salary expenses associated with the operation of the cemetery.
Thank you very much. Comments or questions with reference to Article 19? Yes. It's coming to your right.
Jason Molina, Precinct 10. When do lot sales begin for the new expanded cemetery?
Mr. Mizikar.
A specific date hasn't been determined, but it is under consideration by the Parks and Cemetery Commission. We hope to have them vote within the next few months on their plans for sales.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 19? Not hearing or seeing anyone, we will move to a vote, and I'll ask that the voting machine be opened on Article 19. Time for voting has expired. The clerk will display the tally. This passes. Article 20.
I move the printed motion under Article 20.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 20.
Mr. Mizikar.
This article proposes the use of $25,000 in free cash to fund water quality study improvements for public water bodies in town, including Lake Quinsigamond.
Comments and questions with reference to Article 20? Yes.
Robert Cray from Precinct 2. Does this have any impact on water, drinkable water quality, or just the bodies of water? And what quality measure are we talking about?
Mr. Mizikar.
It has nothing to do with the drinking water system. It's recreational water bodies, and it does allow us to mitigate the impact of invasive weeds to keep the quality of water at a higher standard for recreational use.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 20? Not hearing or seeing anyone, we will now open the voting machine and ask that you vote on Article 20. Time for voting has expired, and the clerk will display the tally. This passes. Article 21.
I move the printed motion under Article 21.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 21.
Mr. Mizikar.
This article proposes to allocate $350,000 to fund counseling and education services with Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services.
Questions or comments with reference to Article 21, right in the middle. Look behind you.
Julie Boris, Precinct 6. I think Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services is a great endeavor. However, what started as asking for, and you can fact check me, these are the numbers as I remember them last year. What started as asking for $30,000 from the taxpayers when it began is now asking for $350,000, more than $250,000. Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services is a nonprofit entity, and on principle, I don't think that the taxpayer dollars should go there. The people of Shrewsbury should be able to choose which nonprofits they want to donate their money to. Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services has many wealthy benefactors and a very long list of business sponsors, and that is exactly where their money should be coming from. According to ProPublica last year, they brought in about $1.2 million. I do think in the current economic climate, if they need $350,000, they should go to their wealthy benefactors or organize a few more fundraising events each year rather than squeeze the taxpayers of Shrewsbury who are already struggling to stay afloat. Everyone in Massachusetts is required to pay for health care, and if you can't afford it, the taxpayers pick up the tab in the form of MassHealth, Medicare, Medicaid, etc. Yet, Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services does not attempt to bill health insurance and get reimbursed. They claim it is too difficult, yet they are happy to take the large sum of $350,000 from the people of Shrewsbury. It is 2026, and there are multiple systems and platforms that can now help automate the billing, and so maybe it is time to revisit seeking reimbursement. In addition, there is taxpayer money for mental and behavioral health support via the schools, and there's bills in the legislature right now that will add even more, I believe. This makes me feel like I am being asked to pay for the same thing 3 times when I can't even pay my own bills. I'm a single mom. I live in a very tiny home here in Shrewsbury. I work in the nonprofit world. Prices of everything are going up year over year, and I'm getting squeezed, and I think a lot of other people might feel the same way. I think it's important that we be fair stewards of the taxpayer dollars. 2 of the people that run this nonprofit have annual salaries over 6 figures, which is on the high side for nonprofits, especially one that asks for taxpayers to foot a portion of the bill. A letter went out from Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services stating that they passed a full audit in 2025, but I couldn't find it. It wasn't provided on the website, and on short notice, I was not able to see it. But on their website, the annual report was last updated in 2023. I think it would be nice if these items we could see before voting. I wish the best for the organization, but I think they should get their funding elsewhere and learn how to bill insurance. From everything we've heard tonight, funds are very tight, and this $350,000 could be used elsewhere. Thank you.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 21? Yes.
Precinct 7, Bridget Hilton. When I was a little kid, you didn't have to wear a seatbelt when you got into a car. You could just get into a car and go wherever you wanted. A lot of people were unsafe because of that. A lot of people died because of that. Right now, we're still having a mental health crisis in our state. We still have a lot of kids, especially, but families generally, who need a seatbelt. They need something that is going to help keep them safe, keep their kids safe, keep their families safe, and keep our community safe. And if you don't believe that, you can ask the police department what happened when someone who needed behavioral health and mental health services didn't get the services and care that he needed. Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services is a partner to our town. They're not a charity in the sense that we don't get anything back from our contribution to the organization. By contributing money to them, we guarantee opportunities for people to have easy access to mental health services in our town. I work at a behavioral health clinic. It is not easy to find a therapist when you need one. It is eased by having this resource available to us in our town. Of course, there are many other things that we could spend our money on, but until we start to take behavioral health as seriously as we take other health issues, we're going to continue to see our kids struggle, and we're going to continue to see problems in our communities. This is a seatbelt, so I just want to encourage everyone to wear your seatbelt and to let us provide this seatbelt to families in our community. Thank you.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 21? Ms. Deering.
Martha Deering, Precinct 4. Before this was youth and family services, it was family services. I was on the board at that time. We didn't have as many people needing services then. Since then, we have had a pandemic. We have internet and social networking that is creating all kinds of problems for our kids. And just to kind of give you an example of what happened with the pandemic, one of my specialties is substance abuse services. There was one online alcohol provider that went up in the first month of the pandemic. Their online sales went up 800%. I am still dealing with people who developed substance use and mental health problems during the pandemic. We need these services. The cost is minimal in what it does for this town. The kids are suffering. Social service stuff is not available. There are a lot of people who cannot afford the health service. Sometimes they can't get insurance because they're just over the line for Medicare or Medicaid. So please support this. It is an incredibly valuable service.
Article 21. Further comments or questions? Right in front, yes.
Hi, Annette Shine, Precinct 7. When I got the letter from the SYFS, my first thought was, this isn't nearly enough. And what should we do to increase funding for this incredible resource this town has? Anyone who knows the behavioral landscape in the country and in Massachusetts knows, as Bridget spoke about, was we are in crisis. And philanthropy is not going to cover this. Rich people are not going to cover this. Insurance is not going to cover this. State funding, starting in 27, is going to be devastating for behavioral health programs. So we need this money. We need this resource in our town, and we need to take care of our kids.
Thank you. I believe there was a question, yes, right behind you and then right behind him.
Tony Bonaventura, Precinct 4. So there was a question about the insurance billing, and I didn't hear an answer to that. I heard earlier with the EMS that a third party is going to do that insurance billing.
Certainly. Wait one second. Is there a representative of SYSF in the room tonight? Good evening. If you could come down front, identify yourself, and answer some of the more technical questions, it would be appreciated.
Fred Callen, I'm the Executive Director of Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services.
Go ahead, Tony.
So the question was insurance billing. Earlier, when they were talking about EMS, the town manager said that they're going to use a third-party biller, and for that entire service, they estimated it was going to cost about $70,000, which was a percentage of the total billing that they got back. Is that possible to use for your agency?
So we evaluated adding more insurance billing this year, and the expenses that we would have to add, the ROI is pretty small on that. What we look to do instead is put hours into things that didn't cost more, that would get us more return on investment, basically. So, for example, we increased like our grant funding 20%, instead of doing the kind of complicated piece with the insurance. We're evaluating that every year. It's part of our strategic plan. But the thing about a small nonprofit, the volume you need to do for behavioral health insurance is where larger entities sort of make their money. And we have a very small volume given our size. I know a gentleman earlier had said about his business, insurance billing, you have to employ someone to do that work. Or, the town is large enough to do the third-party piece of it. We're continuing to evaluate that, but currently that's not something we're doing.
So follow-up, so the answer is that you can't hire a third-party biller. They wouldn't take your small amount.
The amount we would pay would probably equal or net us a very small amount compared to other things that we're doing.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. I believe there was a question right behind you, Tony, right there.
Erin Howard, Precinct 1. I work for a human services agency that provides services to people with disabilities and mental health challenges. Last week, along with several of my coworkers, I went to the State House to meet with some of our legislators to advocate for mental health funding and legislation. And the legislators that we met with, the spirit was willing to provide this help, but it's looking a bit grim. As you know, as people have mentioned, we already have a mental health crisis, but the federal cuts that have been made are trickling down to the state, which is going to be trickling down more. I do know also that right now SYFS has a waiting list of that is months long. So there is a greater demand for their services than they can serve now. So I would urge everybody to vote in favor of this. It is desperately, desperately needed.
The gentleman behind you.
Sir, you mentioned ROI.
Could you please identify yourself?
Ed Bolter, Precinct 1. You mentioned ROI. How is that measured? And then secondarily, what are your success metrics for your function?
So our success measures are really about how many of our clients, 68% of them are between the ages of 5 and 18, meet their clinical outcomes in their time that they're with us. So that's one of our major success measures. In terms of ROI, I do want to just talk a little bit about the $350,000 is level funding over the past 4 years, and as we've said earlier, all expenses have been going up. So the fundraising that we're doing is for us to cover those additional expenses rather than ask for them from the town. The same number of hours that we provided in the past 12 months, 4,706 hours to residents of Shrewsbury, based on Executive Office of Health and Human Services municipal rates, would equate to about $513,000. So the return on investment I was talking about specifically around insurance billing was just what the administrative overhead additional expenses we would have to add and how much we would then net is a relatively small number.
Follow up, Ed.
So I guess that presupposes that the health care that person or that family is required to carry, these services aren't covered through that outlet? So you can't recover them because for some reason they don't provide that coverage?
The coverage might be, so I want to be very specific about this. The coverage might be covered, but we may not necessarily have everything in place to access that, if that makes sense. Health insurance is what we would have to do includes impaneling clinicians. It includes additional administrative and billing expenses. And again, for our size, the number of folks that we're seeing in our size as a small nonprofit, the majority of our time and energy is serving the folks who come through our door. We are a very lean organization in terms of administrative costs. We have an admin assistant doing 15 hours a week that we're running the whole agency on.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 21? Mr. Campanello.
Paul Campanello, Precinct 6. Drilling down on the ROI and the business metrics, the $350K that you're asking the town for, is there, I think I know the answer, so it's a two-part question, Mr. Moderator. Do you service non-Shrewsbury residents as well as Shrewsbury? And I think the answer to that is yes. I'm not being rhetorical. If it is yes, is there a way to ensure or earmark the $350K as only earmarked to Shrewsbury residents, if my assumption was correct?
So the $350,000 only funds our services for Shrewsbury residents, only. We do have other grants for other things. Our first responder program, we're able to see first responders who maybe work in Shrewsbury but live in other towns. So there are some things, but the $350,000 is only to serve Shrewsbury residents.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 21? Ms. Hollenbach.
Lisa Hollenbach, Precinct 9. So there are other support groups you guys take care of, not just one-on-one patients. I know over the years then when there have been community emergencies or crisis, SYFS was right there. I know over the years there was a program that you had called You Go Girl to raise the esteem of young women over the summer. I've been reading a lot about young men having this issue now. Maybe you should have something like that. The services that you have provided over the years, the fact that we need to put a dollar quality on it disgusts me. And for people who want to push it off, this is the very basics of our community, of someone's mental health, their life or death, and not just that one individual, their families, their friends. It is a community issue. And frankly, I was going to get up and say 15 minutes ago that I think we should do more money. And next year I would actually encourage us to appropriate more money into it, because as we become more into the digital age, we are seeing severe mental health issues. I'm dealing with my daughter already. I'm looking at 4 or 5 therapists, medications. It is huge. And it's just not me. It's everyone. And it impacts Shrewsbury like the schools do, like the fire department, the police department. It is a basic need for this community. And I want to thank you for all that SYFS has done.
Thank you.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 21, right in the middle?
Diane Jones, Precinct 8. So I'm just going to say something personal. You don't have to answer. I'll answer for myself. How many of us have someone in our family who has a mental health problem? Yeah. Okay, so do I. And my daughter is in terrible, terrible shape. Had she gotten help when she was young, we may be looking at a completely different world for her. And that is something that people need to understand, that addressing mental health when someone is young is so valuable that you can't put a monetary value on that. This is truly someone's life. And if they get that help early, their self-esteem is better, their belief that they can do it is better, they take better care of themselves. They don't fall into addictions as much. It's just an astonishing thing that you can do for someone when they're young. I'm voting yes.
Yes, Ms. Fashion.
Jackie Fashion, Precinct 4. I don't want to speak for every single person in this room, but I think we can all unite on the fact that mental health is super, super important. I don't think anybody's disputing that at all. My question is, the cost, the administrative cost of billing insurance companies, would that be more or less than $350,000?
Fred?
We would not have net anywhere close to $350,000 in billing insurance.
Follow
right.
up?
So it would be much less
right.
administratively to start billing insurance companies.
No. What we would need to add.
I'm confused. Sorry.
So
help me out.
the expenses we would need to add.
Yep.
And what we could bill for, right, would be less in total than this amount.
Do you know about what would that cost to set that up? Like annually, do you have any idea what administratively that would cost?
I don't have those numbers in front of me. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 21? Ms. Delgado? Then I'll just keep marching up the row.
Deb Delgado, Precinct 8. I think that, and I feel strongly, that Youth and Family Services provides a lot to our community. And not only that, they are in our community. So when we have individuals that need assistance, they're right there. Thank you.
Yes, right up along this aisle. Yeah. No, Patty.
Patricia Minton, Precinct 7. How many residents have, I know a person that called SYFS, resident of Shrewsbury, and they never received a call. How often does that happen?
So I'm sorry to hear that, obviously. I don't think that happens often. We have a call system. I think like any organization or business, it may happen occasionally, but it definitely doesn't happen regularly. We actually just recently looked at that and just made sure that we had some redundancy, some backups for folks looking at making sure that everyone gets.
Well, that someone is my daughter. I called. I left information and I heard nothing. Very disappointed in the fact that we're voting on giving you guys money. Mm-hmm. And I understand that most people here have good things about SYFS. But when my daughter was in need, no one called.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 21? Gentleman to the right.
Stephen Hess, Precinct 8. I move the question.
Motion has been made and seconded to move the question. I will ask the clerk's office to bring that one forward so that we can vote on this electronically. As you might note, the question is to move the question. This is not subject to debate. I will simply ask that we open the voting machine and tally it up. Your time to vote has started. Time to vote for voting has expired. The clerk will display the roll. A motion to move the question has passed. We will now return to the Article 21 for action by this body. I would ask the clerk's office to now open the voting machine and members start voting. Time for voting has expired. I'll ask the clerk to display the tally. Article 21 passes. Article 22.
The printed motion under Article 22.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 22.
Mr. Mizikar.
This article proposes to fund the annual capital improvement plan for fiscal year 27. The article has a series of transfers within it, so we've taken the opportunity this year to go back and look at previous articles funded through capital improvement plans or other capital investments and close out any dollars that we no longer needed because those projects are finished and came in under budget. In addition, we are proposing the use of $2,022,233.43 in free cash. I do see an issue with the motion that is on the screen. We need to use the motion that is printed in the book. Alex, do you confirm the motion in the book is correct? What is on the screen is not correct.
Are you referencing the dollar amount, Mr. Mizikar?
Yes, the dollar amount that is on the screen is too large. The proposed motion, as was moved by the chair and seconded, is what's in the book. $2,792,671 to fund the capital improvement plan. Those sources are detailed on page 47 of your book. Page 48 then lists all the investments that we propose to make across a variety of departments. So it's been, okay.
Town meeting members,
fixed.
I draw your attention through the mystery of science, the right number is there, 2.792671. Thank you very much. Comments or questions with reference to Article 22? Yes.
Ed Bolter, Precinct 1. I just didn't hear. Did the FinCom weigh in on this?
I thought I asked them, Ed, but I'll ask them again if somehow I missed it. What are your thoughts on Article 22?
Finance Committee recommends Article 22.
Comments or questions with reference to Article 22? Not hearing or seeing any. Yes.
Raju Palpati, Precinct 4. If you look at the cost for a stand-up leaf and debris blower,
what page are you on, sir?
I'm on 47. It's $3,080,000.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 3,000. Sorry, how much is that? $3,080.
Yes.
And on page 48, I noticed that it's actually $15,000.
Mr. Mizikar.
So on page 47, those are funds that were previously allocated to buy another stand-up leaf blower that we no longer need. So we don't have the ability to use those funds for anything else, including another additional leaf blower, unless town meeting authorizes. So what you see on page 47 are dollars that are available that we're proposing to fund, in part, the items listed on page 48. So we're turning $3,000. I lost it now. $3,000 some dollars from $3,080.78 from an article that was approved in May of 2024, and we'd utilize that to cover the expenses shown on page 48.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 22? Mr. Flaherty.
Kevin Flaherty, Precinct 5. Where has this money been, and why do we figure it out that we have it now? Because there's some things like in 2018.
Sure.
That's a long time ago. Have we been accruing interest on this money that's been sitting, and where has it been sitting? And can you just give us a little bit more explanation about that?
Mr. Mizikar.
Yeah, sure. So our operating balances are invested, and we do receive interest on all those. And again, there's very low risk, so it's not gobs of funding because we can't lose it. I can't come back to you and tell you we lost some of the town's dollars due to a poor investment. We did a deeper dive this year, so we look at articles every year and see opportunities, but we were really conscientious this year, went deeper into all projects, and we've come up with all these fundings. So yes, some of them are quite old, and perhaps they could have been turned out older, but we did the work this year and the funds are available.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 22? Yes, sir, right in the middle.
Cash Shane, Precinct 4. So, as you said, Mr. Mizikar, with the some changes this year, a deeper dive to see what funds, I guess, hadn't been used. Are we on the administrative end of this, looking at having a process that is more thorough every year, so that if we have similar situations that we're using all of our money, or is this something that we do every few years, or can it be standardized to be as rigorous as possible every year as opposed to...
Yeah, so, sorry, excuse me. Yeah, we will be doing this thorough process each and every year moving forward. It does take sometimes it doesn't hit a perfect fiscal cycle, and we do have to wait a couple years depending on the complexity of the project, but we will try to clean these accounts up more regularly like we did this year.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 22? Yes, Dadine?
Dadine Gunnett, Precinct 2. The $216,000 for the recreational building improvement, can you just explain what that's for? I'm just curious how much more money we have to go for that building, where we are at it. It seems like we've spent quite a bit on it so far. So if we could just get an update on it and how much more improvement we still have to go on it. Thank you.
Sure. Mr. Mizikar.
I could start, and then perhaps Mr. Baldinger or Mr. Hamilton can fill in if needed, but this provides the remaining exterior work on the building, so painting, scraping. I'm not sure if it does roof, but all exterior work that's necessary on the building.
And comments or questions? Mr. Baldinger?
Windows are also part of that project.
We can't hear you. You have to say that again.
So windows are also part of that project, too. But everything else is correct.
Thank you. Further comments or questions with reference to Article 22? Yes.
Caroline Maycomber, Precinct 9. Just to make sure I understand, so that $216,000 is for that house that's now a rec building next to Dean Park, and we think that between windows and painting it could potentially be $216,000. I just want to make sure I heard that correctly.
Mr. Baldinger?
Yes, that's correct.
Just as someone who's had to replace windows on a house and paint a house, that seems really steep, so I'm just going to suggest we get some more quotes on that. But the other thing I noticed from page 47 to 48 is there was a lot that was allocated towards the ball fields that seems to have gone away on page 48. So I'm wondering why that decision was made. There was like the Dean Park playground and the ball fields, and then now all of that's gone.
Who would like to take that one?
I can take it.
Mr. Mizikar.
So page 47 and page 48 aren't related to each other. So page 47 represents a prior investment where we had funding remaining, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we're not doing something.
Can I have you pause? Because I thought I heard you say earlier that the money on 47 had to be put towards a similar purpose on 48, so maybe I misheard.
No. Yeah,
okay.
It does not need to be used. It needs to come to this body for approval, and even if it was for a similar purpose, this body still needs to do it.
Okay,
to
thank
appropriate
you.
It, excuse me.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 22? Not hearing or seeing anyone, we will move to a vote. Please open the voting machine, and let's start voting. We're voting on Article 22. Time for voting has expired. Who's got a clicker issue? Don't display it so he can vote. Hold it. We set? Did you vote, Tony? Very good. The clerk may display the tally, please. Matter passes. Article 23.
I move the printed motion under Article 23.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Committee recommends Article 23.
Mr. Mizikar.
These are the major capital investments that we propose to make for the sewer system, totaling a little over $2,081,000. Two significant projects, or one significant project, Walnut Street gravity sewer replacement, and then ongoing inflow and infiltration work to tighten the sewer system.
Okay. Comments or questions with reference to Article 23? Yes.
Ed Bolter, Precinct 1. The statement here talks about and to acquire land or easements in connection therewith. Is this something that we're anticipating eminent domain action by the state in order to fulfill these goals?
Mr. Mizikar?
Not in this year's program. The work is replacing an existing line on Walnut Street, although the reason that language is in there is that the legislation that established the Sewer Commission allows for this, and if there is a small easement or something that we need to acquire, rather than having to come back for a separate vote, we include it in this language when we make capital investments.
It's also why it's a 2/3. Further comments or questions on Article 23? Yes.
Caroline Maycomber, Precinct 9. So if I understood you correctly, if we were to have to come back for a separate vote based on easements, that does require a 2/3 vote, whereas if we just vote for this right now, it would just be like our standard regular type of voting, not a 2/3 vote?
No, it needs a 2/3 because it may involve an easement, some temporary easement, something along those lines. So you do the 2/3 belts and suspenders and you're golden.
Okay, thanks.
Further questions, comments on Article 23? Not hearing or seeing anyone. Let's get ready to vote. I'll ask that the clerk open the voting machine. This is a 2/3. Time for voting has expired. Clerk will display the tally. Notice above, it passed. 2/3 majority. There we go. Okay, that was exciting. Article 24.
I move the printed motion under Article 24.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 24.
Mr. Mizikar.
This would be the capital investment for the stormwater system, appropriating $500,000 for ongoing drainage system improvements.
Comments or questions with reference to Article 24? Article 24. Not hearing or seeing anyone, we will move to a vote. I'll ask the clerk's office to open the vote, and we can start voting on Article 24. It's a 2/3, yeah. Time for voting has expired. Clerk will display the tally. 24 passes. 25. 25 is also a 2/3 vote.
I move the printed motion under Article 25.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 25.
Mr. Mizikar.
This is the capital improvement plan for the water system, appropriating $1,263,000.05.
Comments or questions with reference to Article 25? Comments or questions? Yes.
Ed Bolter, Precinct 1. What's a SCADA upgrade?
Mr. Mizikar.
It's the automated data system that will alarm us if there's an issue. So if a holding tank gets too low on water or a pump runs too long based upon standards, it notifies staff so we can address the issue.
Mr. Prey, did you have a question?
Christy Dupre, Precinct 1. Could you just double check, is it really Sewer Street well, or is it Sewell? Because I know there's a pumping station on Sewell.
Oh, sure. I see what you're saying in the motion. Yep. So
which
it
is by Worcester Sand and Gravel,
It should be Sewell.
not sewer.
S-E-W-E-L-L?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Further comments or questions with reference to Article 25? Yes.
Nadine Garnett, Precinct 2. Where are we on unaccounted water?
Unaccounted for water? Unaccounted for water, correct? Is that what you asked?
Of the DPW
okay.
director.
Great. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, Tim McInerney, DPW Director. Mr. Maroney is the Division Manager for Water, and we have about a 7.5% reduction from last year to this year for unaccounted for water. I'm going to get the number wrong, but I think we're at 38, and now we're at 31.5, give or take. So we're making strides. When Mr. Mizikar mentioned the I&I program, those funds help us with a number of things, but water reduction and collection rates are what's driving that reduction.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 25? Not hearing or seeing anyone, we will move to the vote on Article 25. Clerk's office, please open the vote. We'll start voting. Time for voting has expired. The clerk will display the tally. This too passes. Very good, thank you. We're now moving on to Article 26, which is the Community Preservation Act Committee report. In your box, you got, in your package rather, you got a May 8th memorandum from Christopher McGoldrick, Director of Planning and Economic Development. And then this evening, you will be hearing from several of your neighbors with respect to the Affordable Housing Trust, the Chair, Martha Gannon, Maple Ave Recreation Field Lighting, Laurel Rossler, Director of Recreation, and Article 29. You'll be hearing from Chris Gustafson, Vice President of the Shrewsbury Historical Society, and a variety of other luminaries who are yet to be named in my memorandum. So I hope all of those people are down front so we can keep things moving along. Mr. McGoldrick, Article 26.
Move the printed motion under Article 26.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Article 26.
Finance Committee recommends Article 26. Mr. McGoldrick.
Sorry, I'll pass it to Kathy McSweeney.
Please introduce yourself, Kathy.
Hi, I'm Kathy McSweeney. I'm the Vice Chair of the Community Preservation Committee. And Article 26, in accordance with the Community Preservation Act, a minimum of 10% of the annual CPA revenue must be spent or allocated to each of the three categories: open space and recreation, community housing, and historic preservation. Up to 5% of the annual revenue can be spent on operating expenses of the CPC and clerical or administrative staff. The remaining 65% may be spent or allocated to any one of the combined of all three CPA-eligible funding categories at the discretion of the Community Preservation Committee and subject to the approval of this body. The CPC chose to use the required minimum allocations in order to provide the maximum flexibility with funding projects across the community preservation categories. Do you want me to read them all?
Thank you very much. Article 26, any comments or questions with reference to Article 26? Not hearing or seeing anyone. Why don't we move to the vote? The clerk's office could open the machine, please, on Article 26. Time for voting has expired, and the clerks will display the tally. Motion passes. Article 27, thank you.
Move the printed motion under Article 27.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 27.
Kathy?
This project proposes to appropriate $112,500 from the Community Preservation Community Housing Reserve to create and implement a local rental assistance program for moderate to low-income Shrewsbury residents. The program involves a housing consultant reviewing applications and recommending eligible households to the Affordable Housing Trust for implementation. The goal is to serve 25 households for 1 year through monthly grants.
Comments or questions with reference to Article 27? Yes, Ms. Hollenbach.
I'm Lisa Hollenbach, Precinct 9. So if I understand this correctly, the funding would be used for vouchers for housing for lower income. And would this also be helping us to get to 40B levels? And if this is exactly what we're talking about, this is what one of many, many things that are great about CPA. So explain a little bit more about that.
I'm going to have to.
Thank you. It's not a voucher program, so these disbursements would be paid directly to the landlord once qualifying households are deemed eligible by the applicant and then approved by the Affordable Housing Trust. So it's directly paid to the landlord.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 27? No. Where is somebody? Yes. Yes, Maureen?
Maureen Harrington, Precinct 1. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So I'm curious what the breakdown is for this $112,500 because you're serving 25 households. So what is the breakout that you're paying for a consultant, and what is the breakout of what you're doing for the households?
Thank you. So $112,500 would be provided by CPC funding through this request. It will be matched by $37,500 of Affordable Housing Trust funds, which would make the project budget of $150,000. We are holding a $30K consulting fee, which still needs to be developed once this goes out to bid and a consultant is selected. But that would provide the consulting fee for management of the actual eligibility and management of the program for all 25 households. And sorry, that would be fully funded through the trust. So that's
certainly
included.
So what would be fully funded by the trust? You're saying the consultant or something else?
The consultant would be fully funded from the trust, as well as a $37,500 match, so a total of $67,500 from the trust.
I think it would be helpful in the future, sorry, follow up, Mr. Moderator.
Yeah.
It would be helpful in the future to show that breakout and certainly to indicate whatever matching funds are coming, what the dollar amount is from the Housing Trust, to give people here a better picture of that. Okay, thank you.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 27? Not. Yes.
Sorry, Caroline Maycomber, Precinct 9. So correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. McGoldrick. I thought I heard $30,000 plus another $37,000, so we're paying a consultant $67,000 to help with people doing the rental applications. Is this going to be an ongoing consultant? Like every year we have to allocate money for them, or this is like a one-time?
So the program is developed as a one-year pilot to which the trust and CPC would determine if they're going to continue the program. The $37,500 in Affordable Housing Trust funds matching the CPC contribution would be allocated towards rental assistance payments. The trust is also taking on, we're budgeting $30,000 for the consultant fee, which is about $250 per eligible applicant.
Okay, thank you.
Right in front, yes.
Sanam Zahra, Precinct 7. I just have a logistical question. Will this be paired with a counselor or something that will help people access RAFT funds, for example? And then will this application process be after people have exhausted state resources, or is it in lieu of that?
So we're still determining the final logistics of the program with the consultant, but the trust and CPC have both discussed that part of their application and eligibility criteria would be that applicants must show that they've not been approved for RAF payments or any other state assistance. So this would be primarily for residents who fall through the cracks of those programs.
Oh, okay, that's great. Thank you.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 27? Yes.
Robert Cray from Precinct 2. Are there any means or eligibility tests that I can share with the people down in Precinct 2?
So those are still being developed as the program comes together, and it will be developed in consultation with the selected consultant. But it will be, the general criteria, it will have to be 80% area median income eligible. And then again, the RAFT services and other state services proof that those have been applied for and exhausted. So.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 27? Not hearing or seeing anyone. So I'll ask the clerk's office to open the machine and let's proceed with a vote. Time for voting has expired. The clerk will display the tally. All right, that passes. Article 28.
I move the printed motion under Article 28.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 28.
Mr. McGoldrick. Go ahead, Kath. Go ahead, Kath.
This project proposes to appropriate $118,500 for the Community Preservation Open Space and Recreation Reserve and $531,500 from the General Budget Reserve to install overhead lighting at the softball and multipurpose soccer lacrosse fields at the Maple Ave Recreation Area. This addition will significantly expand access to public recreation facilities by extending usable field hours beyond daylight, especially during peak demand periods.
Thank you. Comments or questions with reference to Article 28? Yes, right down the aisle.
Lisa Steele, Precinct 6. I'm one of the neighbors in effect of this area. I've given the matter a lot of thought, and I have to oppose it, primarily for light pollution issues. When we've had potential aurora, I see people going into those fields looking for dark sky. When we've had comets, I see people going into those fields looking for dark sky. I see people stargazing. I see people walking and enjoying a place to walk at night without having to worry about being run over by a car. So I am deeply concerned about losing that. We've got a lot of extra light coming off the police station and its grounds, and as I said, I'm concerned about losing darkness and the ability to stargaze. Thank you.
Thank you. Further, would you like to comment on that?
What I'd just like to say is that these are going to be on timers and only lit during use of the fields, unlike the police station, which is lit for security purposes, so it would be turned off if the fields are not in use.
Thank you. Further comments or questions with reference to Article 28? We need a new one. Are you pointing at the gentleman behind you? I see. Go ahead, gentleman right there. Brandon Manella was that? Okay.
Cass Shane, Precinct 4. I think just on the merits of this, I'm on the other side here, that I think this is something that would provide value because, more usability of public space tends to be a good thing. But the dollar amount here is giving me some pause. $600,000 for lights seems steep to me. I mean, that's the cost of a house. And I did see the Finance Committee's split vote on this. I think there were 2 opposed. I'm wondering, is that also about the costs, or is there anyone from the Finance Committee who would vote against this who would like to say anything?
Would anyone on the Finance Committee like to speak on this matter in reference to the gentleman's question? Don't you have a microphone?
So two comments from my side, and then David can add to that. Is the season that we are talking about? We are going to get a month in that. The other thing that we are talking about is our suggestion was if we add more money and develop a new park, it will serve a larger set of audience than just serving the existing usage of the fields that we are trying to extend by a month or 6 weeks. That was my take on it, and David, you can add.
To Remington.
Yeah, so this is $650,000 of taxpayer money just to put them in. Then we're going to have to pay for their use every year. And so that ongoing cost, we never received any data about how often to be used. We never received anything about the cost effectiveness of it. And why don't we look at it and say, okay, can we put this off a year? How many people want to use this? Will this be something that is worth all the money that we're going to be spending? Because it doesn't go away. Every year we have to pay for it. It would be better to build more fields. We have fields all over town. And would it be better just to use those fields, or is it something that is critical? Because this is a lot of money, and once you put them in, we're going to have to change the lights every now and then and continue it.
The Recreation Director, please introduce yourself, and she would like to respond.
Good evening, Laurel Rossiter, Director of Recreation. So this is a one-time fee, and it's quite a large number, so I understand the sticker shock. It's a one-time fee in the sense that the light system would be under warranty for 25 full years, so anything that would come up within 25 years under the sustainable LED system that we're going to be putting in here, hopefully through Musco, which is a light system that we currently use at all of our other fields. Again, when we open it up for bidding, certainly other companies can bid, and we would take the most efficient company to come forward. However, we do use a Musco system, and that's where my quotes are coming from, that company specifically, because we're already familiar with them. So again, the light system in its totality, including the bulbs, all of the LEDs, all of the poles and what have you, is constantly monitored by the company that puts it in and is under full warranty for 25 years. The lifespan is estimated at 50 years. So this is a very long-term investment. Fields, grass fields, town-owned fields in Shrewsbury open early April. They are, we have organizations chomping at the bit to play starting April 11th of this year, and they play through the end of October, sometimes mid-November. So it's certainly not a very short season. The only season our local organizations take off is winter because they physically can't play on the fields in the snow. All other months of the year they are utilized. So I just wanted to clear up some of those points.
Thank you. Further comments or questions with reference to Article 28? Yes, right along the aisle.
Thank you. Shannon Wall, Precinct 7. I wanted to mention, I know that this particular field was brought into question, but there's been major investments made in this particular softball field to provide fencing and covered dugouts for the girls as well. And so I think that's one of the things that's important to know about this particular field and why the investment is being asked to be made. The program is strained in terms of scheduling, and because of those scheduling, it does limit the number of participants that can come into the program based on parents' working schedules and whatnot, based on the availability of the fields. And if practices gets canceled, it means more scheduling headaches for everyone involved. I think the investment in girls' sports is important to call out in this as well. We have 2 baseball fields that are fully lit that allow for that flexibility that we don't provide for our girls right now. So I think that's an important element for us to consider when we're thinking about this. And just the overall value that sports brings to our community, to our children, and just really very supportive of this, obviously. And I did one last comment speak to an abutter of that location, and they're appreciative of, I think the company has the technology to keep the lights very focused in on the fields and not at the surrounding homes. So that was a positive, and there's support in that particular neighborhood for this addition. Thank you.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 28? Yes. No. First the lady, then you.
Mindy McKenzie, Precinct 1, Colton Lane. I no longer have children in the youth programs because I'm old, but I will say I was a referee assigner for Mays and for Shrewsbury Youth Soccer, and there's no bigger headache than whenever it rains out. And as glad as we would be to have some rainouts right now, you need to have scheduling opportunities. So, and it's not only just for girls softball, it's for soccer as well. So I fully support this to maximize the utility of existing fields. Thank you.
The gentleman to your immediate right, if you would. Thank you.
John Shenier, Precinct 5. I am a coach and a parent with Shrewsbury Youth Lacrosse. I'm proud to report that our under 15 team is #1 in the state for boys, and we've got a record number of girls registered for Shrewsbury Youth Lacrosse for this year. One of our biggest headaches on an annual basis for the past 5 or 6 years that my son has been playing has been field time, particularly for our select team. And our highly competitive teams. Again, last year, our under 13 boys team was #1 in the state for a Division I. And so that means we are competing with the best the best middle school and high school programs in the state. Lacrosse is the fastest growing sport in the country. It is now an Olympic sport, and we are host also to the World Cup this year. So that means record numbers of participation. But for us and for me as a coach and a parent, it is really difficult for us to see our athletes and my child only being able to utilize half of the field at our assigned fields on Lake Street Park, because as the sun sets, it makes it impossible for our lacrosse players. By the way, we have 200 families with over 300 children participating in lacrosse every year who can only participate on half the field because when the sun is setting, they cannot safely see the ball. And for those of you that don't know, lacrosse is a high-speed contact sport. And so I'm in full support of this, not for my son because he will be done and aged out by the time this gets constructed, but as somebody who has been involved with athletics on the field and indoors for over 20 years myself. These are critical infrastructure investments that pay off over time, from field rentals, but also utilization over time to expand the value proposition that we place for residents and families here in Shrewsbury. So I am obviously very selfishly in support of this in the short term, but also in the long-term investment for our town.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 28? Ms. Hollenbeck.
Melissa Hollenbeck, Precinct 9. I think about 8-10 years ago, we voted on lights for Dean Park, and I voted no at the time because it was $500,000 for ball lights. But that was coming out of our general budget. This is what CPC is kind of for. I don't have kids playing, so I don't have any, skin in the game, literally. But it does provide more opportunities for our children, for our residents to come together as people, and have their phones in their pocket, again, having some more FaceTime. And that is a huge, important thing. But the question I do have, so I support that, but the question I do have is, why is that funding coming out of the open space? I kind of think we might, want to be spending a lot of money, more money on open space, and it is expensive. So why is it coming out of that pot?
Thank you. So the open space and reserve account, it's one singular account, so those are together. So it's coming out of that, and then the remainder from the general reserve as well. because it expends the balance of the open space.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 28? Mr. Craig.
Cray, Precinct 2. I'm just going to point at Mr. Remington because I think he's the smartest guy in the room on this question. Get some better budget numbers for next year and take a look at it. I'm not going to stand up here and argue against lacrosse and sports. I'm a great beneficiary. I went to a school where somebody gave the school a hockey rink. So let's do it, but can we get some better budget numbers so everyone's more comfortable with it? Thank you.
For comments or questions with reference to Article 28? Yes. Ms. O'Connor.
Donna O'Connor, Precinct 2. This is what I thought the CPC was all about. And finally, I'm so excited that you're putting lights on a field because we've been fighting for years for more fields, more space. Everybody needs fields. And I think we should just go for it. And I think your funding and your planning has been right on. And thank you.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 28? I'm not seeing or hearing anyone, so we will now open the voting machine and move to the vote on Article 28. Please start the voting. Time for voting has expired. The clerk will display the tally on Article 28. It passed. So we're going to finish off 29, then we'll get to go to the whole issue on 1030. Article 29.
Move the printed motion under Article 29.
Point of order, yes. Yeah, I know, but we're in the CPC, so let's just finish CPC, and then we'll bring the vote if we want to hang around past 10:30. Okay, then considering it's been a point of order, we have the question loaded, and let's see how people want to vote. If they would like to stay and finish up, no, not move the question. Or if they would like to go home and come back tomorrow evening. So I will now read, town meeting members, the hour of 10:30 is upon us. In accordance with the procedural motion, we may not take up any new articles unless you decide otherwise. I'm advised by Town Manager Mizikar that this auditorium is available to us tomorrow evening, Tuesday, May 18th at 7 p.m. If there's a motion to adjourn this meeting to Tuesday in this building, in this auditorium. So, here's your motion. Big as life. I move that the town meeting continue past 10:30. We will now open the voting and see what you all think.
What's the yes vote?
What?
What is a yes vote? Yes to continue.
I move that the town go beyond 10:30 and keep going. That would be a yes vote. Time for voting has expired. Let's see. Okay, we're moving beyond 10:30. So we will now go to Article 29.
I move the printed motion under Article 29.
Second.
Finance Committee.
The committee recommends Article 29.
Community Preservation Act.
Article 29 proposes to appropriate $273,537 from the Historic Preservation Reserve and $26,463 from the General Budget Reserve to complete necessary exterior and interior accessibility improvements, structural remediation, and historic preservation measures at the District 5 Schoolhouse. This work aims to achieve restoring universal public access and preserving the historic integrity and character of the schoolhouse. The Shrewsbury Historical Society, which has owned the schoolhouse since 1973, will be responsible for all future maintenance costs after the improvements are finished.
Thank you. Comments or questions with reference to Article 29? Yes.
Patricia Minton, Precinct 7. Will there be parking for this facility?
Yes, included is a few parking spaces. I believe it's 2 and a handicap space.
The comments or questions with reference to Article 29? Yes.
Jason Molina, Precinct 10. Is this the final of the edit all the changes that need to be happened to that building in order to make it fully accessible and usable and open to the public and open for many hours? I've been on this road for a long time, so I just want to know.
This is the final. Includes all work within the scope of the previous studies that were completed with CPC.
Please say yes. Please say yes.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 29? Yes.
Dadine Garnett, Precinct 2. I watched the presentation for this, and it said that there was parking across the street. I'm curious, I know you said you're going to have a police detail having people cross the street and stuff. My first question is, where is the parking across the street for this? I wasn't aware of any parking across the street. And is there a great need that people are asking for this renovation? I'm just curious, like what the call for this is to bring this back for public use again, to spend this money. Thank you.
Mr. McGoldrick.
Thank you. So the Historical Society maintains the property and maintains ownership of the property. They're exploring private partnerships with properties across the street, which would provide additional parking beyond the modest parking that they can locate on site. In terms of the police detail, that would be entirely within the scope of the Shrewsbury Historical Society as well. In terms of the impetus of this project, it was brought to CPC for those prior feasibility studies. Those were conducted and completed, and this is the final phase of implementation of those findings. So.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 29? I'm not hearing or seeing anyone. We will now move to a vote on Article 29. Could you please open the voting machine? Time for voting has expired. The clerk will display the tally. The item passes. We're moving to Article 30 now. This is a zoning article but involves housing, therefore it's a simple majority. Article 30.
I move the printed motion under Article 30.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 30.
Mr. Mizikar. Mr. McGoldrick.
Thank you. Article 30 proposes to remove a reference to summer houses from the zoning bylaw, which no longer serves a regulatory purpose, and also clarifies language which prohibits accessory dwelling units from being located in the front yard. So this is in relation to the ADU bylaw that was passed by town meeting recently, and represents recommendation from the Attorney General's office after review of that bylaw.
Town meeting members, I'll simply draw your attention to a May 8th, 2026 communication from Mr. McGoldrick regarding a planning board meeting on May 7th, 2026, in which they voted 5-0 in favor to recommend Article 30. Comments or questions with reference to Article 30? Yes, Ms. Harrington.
Maureen Harrington, Precinct 1. So, I'm just thinking back, as the moderator is mentioning, in previous, town meeting last year when we passed this bylaw. And I'm really, really curious as to why we didn't get this language right the first time. And why, unfortunately, some of our neighbors that live in this community have had accessory dwelling units built on front yards next to them. So I'd like to learn a little bit more about that. I get it, you're here to fix it, but it would be nice to know, how do we get these things right when you come to this body the first time?
Mr. McGoldrick.
Thank you. So I'd suggest that we did have the language correct. There is currently a prohibition of accessory dwelling units in the front yard. This is a refinement of the language, which more clearly states that it's in relation to the Dover Amendment, which is stated by state law in reference to prohibiting accessory dwelling units. So again, this doesn't necessarily make a regulatory change. It's a refinement to better align with state law. In terms of ADUs that have gone in the front yard, they would need a variance process through the Zoning Board of Appeals to be located in that location.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 30? I'm not seeing or hearing anyone. Yes, I am. Krista.
Dupre, Precinct 1. So this is stating now that the ADUs would not be in the front yard, correct?
Correct. So again, it refines the language. They're currently not allowed in the front yard. That the new language still prohibits ADUs in the front yard, but addresses the protected use ADU, which is what the state language ties it to Dover Amendment.
Follow-up?
Sure.
So, but you also stated going back to the Zoning Board of Appeals. So therefore, they could be granted, if I'm understanding this correctly. Therefore, the ADU would be permitted in the front.
So the zoning bylaw allows the Zoning Board of Appeals to hear variance processes to any of the regulations within zoning. If granted that variance by the board, then they could be considered in the front yard. So as a protected use ADU under this revised language, accessory dwelling units would only be allowed to be located in the front yard if there is no other location which it can be located on site.
So there's the possibility that it could still be in the front yard by being granted. That's my concern.
Further comments or questions? Yes.
So to be clear, an ADU
please identify
is,
yourself, Brian.
Oh, sorry, Brian Costello, Precinct 9. An ADU is as of right, if you meet the requirements. If my house does not have the ability to build an ADU in the back or side yard, I have an as of right. I can get that ADU in my front yard as of right. I won't have to go to Zoning Board of Appeals, or I will still have to go to a Zoning Board of Appeals. But if they deny it, they're actually going to interfere with the state law, right?
So regardless of the outcome of town meeting, in both instances with the language as written and as proposed, to locate an ADU in the front yard, you would be required to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals and receive a variance from that board. In either case, this simply refines it and addresses the protected use status, so that if it's considered a protected use ADU, you still have to go for the variance process.
Can they deny it, though? If it's a protected use, they can't deny it.
Correct. If they fail to meet the hardship criteria or special or permit criteria of the variance process, the board can deny it. This provides them additional regulatory authority in order to deny that.
Okay. Thanks.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 30? I'm not hearing or seeing anyone, so why don't we move to a vote? This is a simple majority. Let's open the voting machine and start voting. Time for voting has expired. The clerk will display the tally. The This item passed. Article 31.
I move the printed motion under Article 31.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 31.
Mr. Mizikar.
Article 31 proposes to authorize the Select Board on behalf of the town to petition the General Court to enact special legislation to allow the town to satisfy legal notice requirements through digital publication rather than newspapers or other print. The primary intent behind this is to recognize the fact that, especially in cases like publication of bid notices for services that the town needs, that the newspaper is no longer a relied upon source. There's other digital publications that bidders seek out to find needs of the community. So this would alleviate a cost and allow for more efficient procurement by town departments.
Questions or comments with reference to Article 31? Yes.
Caroline Maycumber, Precinct 9. So would this just be for purposes of notices related to when we're trying to get bids for things the town is looking to have done, or like what would this encompass?
Could you repeat? Sorry.
Yeah, so is it just related to, like, for an example, like whenever we need, work done on a building and we have to post those public bids, is this just related to the posting of notices related to bids for work we need to get done, or like what other notices might this encompass?
So it would allow all notice requirements to be handled digitally. Our intent is to use it for bidding purposes. It would allow for things like public hearing notices and other legal advertisements of the town to also be handled digitally. But where there is an active and well-sourced newspaper, we would continue to use those for general public notices. In the future, if that no longer would exist, this legislation would allow us to act deliberately and diligently to meet all our requirements for those types of advertisements as well.
Okay, and then just as a follow-up, do we know how much we've spent on ads for print stuff? Personally, I love my community advocates, so I sort of like seeing the bids in there, but I'm just curious how much we spent on print advertising for bids.
$18,250 in 2025.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 31? Yes, Ms. Dearborn. What was that?
Martha Deering, Precinct 4. Some of us are still dinosaurs, and we actually still do get a newspaper. So my concern would be that maybe we have to have some alternatives. There are people, those of us who are older, who don't access a lot of the websites. As a therapist, I cannot be on social networks, so things like your Facebook page and all I can't go to. So please do consider that there are those of us who cannot get to it digitally.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 31? Not hearing or seeing anyone. Well, let's move to a vote. Please open the voting machine. Time for voting has expired. The clerk will display the tally. This passes. Article 32.
I move the printed motion under Article 32.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 32.
Mr. Mizikar.
This article also proposes special legislation with the purpose to increase the asset and income limitation for residential property owners to be eligible for certain abatements and exemption from property taxes. So the goal behind this is to recognize that current income and asset limits are very low, and the only way to rapidly overcome those levels and not just move along at the annual inflationary rate, or CPI, would be to request this special act be approved by the state. Our goal is to enable more low-income and elderly residents to be eligible for abatements and exemptions as it grows harder to maintain things like property taxes and other normal day-to-day expenses in the community.
Thank you. Comments or questions with reference to Article 32? Yes, sir.
Jason Molina, Precinct 10. The specific figure that's posted here for the single family or the single person or a married couple, is this trying to meet up with a certain type of state standard, like an AMI, area medium income table, or anything that's tangible like that we use for other purposes? Sure. For determining low income?
Sure. Mr. Mizukai?
So I'll start. It ties to specific dollar values of how much income and how much you're allowed to have in cash assets on hand, so there's no state table. This body, several years ago in 2021, authorized us to increase the asset and income limitations each year based upon the consumer product index, or price index, excuse me. What this does is kind of moves us 10 years, like we did it 10 years earlier. So we can only increase it whatever the state says we can increase it by every year. So we're trying to take a jump forward to become more on par with other communities that adopted this local option years before us.
Further comments or questions with reference to Article 32? Not hearing or seeing anyone, let's move to a vote. The clerk's office, please open the machine and let's start voting. Time for voting has expired. The clerk will display the tally. This passes. Article 33. Article 33 requires a 2/3 vote. Be consistent with state law when you establish a special purpose stabilization fund. Article 33.
I move the printed motion under Article 33.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 33.
Mr. Mizukai.
So this formally establishes a special purpose stabilization fund where we could deposit funds to cover the cost of future purchases for the fire department, any apparatus, including fire engines, ladder trucks, ambulance, emergency response vehicles. We previously handled this through the capital improvement program, and our auditor advised that we need to take this more formal approach under the state law.
Comments or questions with reference to Article 33? Article 33. Not hearing or seeing any, why don't we move to a vote on this? This requires 2/3 for approval. Let's open the voting machine and start voting, please. Time for voting has expired. Clerk will display the tally. It looks like it passed. So we'll now move to Article 34.
I move the printed motion under Article 34.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 34.
Mr. Mizukai.
This article proposes to deposit $475,000 into the apparatus fund that was just created with Article 33.
Comments or questions with reference to Article 34? Not hearing or seeing anyone, why don't we move to the vote? Ask the clerk's office to open the machine and commence your voting. Time for voting has expired. The clerk will display the tally. This too passes. Article 35.
Move the printed motion under Article 35.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 35.
Mr. Mizukai.
The Commonwealth of Massachusetts is about to undertake a $50 million investment on Route 20 from South Street to the Northborough line, and the town owns 3 pieces of property along that distance, which in order to enable road widening and safety improvements, we would grant permanent and temporary easements to the Commonwealth to enable that project to happen. So this article proposes to authorize those permanent and temporary easements.
And given the reference to easements and real property, it requires a 2/3 vote. Comments or questions with reference to Article 35? Not hearing or seeing anyone. Why don't we move to a vote? And I'll ask the clerk's office to open the machine and commence your voting. Time for voting has expired. Clerk will display the tally. And this passes. Article 36.
I move the printed motion under Article 36.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 36.
Mr. Mizikar.
This article proposes to set aside $100,000 in free cash to cover costs that may be incurred by town departments for events and assistance related to the 300th centennial celebration that will occur starting later this year and throughout 2027. Previous years, funding has been provided to the committee for use in planning those celebrations and enacting these, and these would cover town expenses like police and fire detail and additional staff support to enable those events when they occur.
Thank you. Comments or questions with reference to Article 36? Not hearing or seeing anyone. Why don't we move to a vote? I'll ask the clerk's office to open the vote and commence your voting. Time for voting has expired. The clerk will display the tally. That too passes. Article 37.
I move the printed motion under Article 37.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 37.
Mr. Mizikar.
So with the establishment of the EMS program, this article seeks to adopt two sections of the general laws under Chapter 41. They're sections 111M and 111N. This will allow the town to purchase insurance and cover the medical expenses and full salary of emergency medical technicians and paramedics if they are injured on duty. The town has a similar provision for police and firefighters through 111F, but this separate vote is needed for EMTs and paramedics.
Thank you. Comments or questions with reference to Article 37? Not hearing or seeing any. Why don't we move to our second to final vote for this evening? I'll ask the clerk's office to open the machine. Please commence your voting. Time for voting has expired. The clerk will display the tally. And on this item, it too passes. So I want to thank all of you for this evening. Please put your clickers down, and I accept the motion to adjourn. Second. All those in favor shall signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, we're adjourned.